1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh my days, oh my days, oh my lips. Let me spare your ears anymore this pain, man. Let me spare your ears. Yeah. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2 in the place to be. I feel like an old time MC from the 1980s. Ratchet in the studio, brother Ratchet, aka Mr. Rashid. 31 minutes past the hour of 2 o'clock. Sunday, 25th of February, 2018. Wisdom, power, refinement, all being born unto God. Wow. So, let me see. Let me just get myself up and sorted and ready and everything else. And I'm sure we'll have a show for you really quickly. People's Talk Show. The number is 07931 276 232. 07931. What the hell is that? 276 232. Or in the supreme mathematics of the 5% nation of gods and earths. Today's mathematics of the studio is cipher, God, born, understanding, knowledge, wisdom, God equality, wisdom, understanding, wisdom. It's really simple. Really simple. Really simple. So anyway, let's just get ourselves together and we'll let you know how we're doing, and we'll let you know how you're sounding, and we'll let you know where you are on the face of the planet Earth. And it's all good, really. It's all good. So don't get it twisted, people. Don't get it twisted. You know, I see a lot of people out there getting it twisted. And like I said, the idea is to not get it twisted. Yeah? Just stay calm. Just be peaceful. Just be easy. Yeah? It's not hard. It's not hard. Trust me, it's not hard. Yeah? Not hard at all. Anyway, let's drop some beats. Let's get up and running. Yeah, 07007 07931 276 232. This is Studio Mathematics for today. 07931 276 232. People's Talk Show. Rashid Nix up inside the studio. Drop us a text. Let us know where you are. Let us know how we're sounding. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Yo, good afternoon. You're on live, Genesis Radio. Who are you? Where you calling from? Go ahead.
Rashid, I'm just making sure the phone line's working good for you. And I'm getting everything good.
Yeah. No, phone line is working excellently, spliffingly well, sir.
Yeah, alright. And everything else in there is good for you, yeah?
Everything is copacetic, my brother. Everything's sweet.
Alright, brother.
Yeah.
Locked on.
Nice one. Bless up.
Bless up, man.
Yeah. Genesis Radio sounding good. Crystal clear. Yeah, 07931 276 232. Studio Mathematics, 07931 276 232. I'm just inside the studio. I'm just really getting myself back to zero, man. Back to zero. Cold out there, brother. Cold as a mother, my brother. Cold. Boy, the cold got in my bones, Rasta. It's cold out there. But yes, I'm just warming up, trying to hug up to the heater. You know what I mean? Seriously, hug up to the heater. So if there's anything that you want to get off your chest, drop us a call, drop us a text. 07931 276 232. Genesis Radio. You know how we do it on a Sunday afternoon. Rashid Nix on the video. Big shouts to W. Yeah, nice one, brother, for letting the man through. D-Roll, my brother. Look after yourself, top man. Seriously, you know. Vitamin C is the key. You know what I'm saying? For some reason, it seems like everything I'm saying today is just rhyming. Not sometiming, just rhyming. I don't know why, man. Maybe I'll have to go and pick up the mic again and, you know, stress up the mic and start spit 2 verbs and some words and, you know. Then again, maybe not. 07931 276 232.
And bleeding to do, I'm happy at this time to bring up the national representatives of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam, our dear minister, brother, that I'm so happy to see him every time I see him, because it's like a breath of fresh air. He's never old to me. He's always new every time I see him. Without further ado, I'd like to bring him up, Minister Louis Farrakhan.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, the one God to whom all praise is due, the Lord of the worlds, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, to whom praise is due forever. And in the name of his true servant and last messenger, our beloved leader, teacher, and guide, the messenger of Allah, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, I greet you, my beloved brothers and sisters, with the greeting words of peace in the Arabic language. Assalamu alaikum. Excuse me. How's everyone? Wonderful. I'm very glad that you are fine and real happy to see you. I don't think I've seen you in about a month. And we have, I can't even count off all the cities that we have been into. But thanks to Allah, He went in with us and came out with us and blessed us in all of the cities to be successful. Last Saturday and Sunday, we lectured in St. Thomas and St. Croix in the Virgin Islands in the Caribbean. And people came out by the hundreds in both islands to hear the words and teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And they accepted by the hundreds the teachings of the messenger. Last week, Wednesday, we were in Los Angeles at a follow-up meeting to our great meeting that we held there at the shrine, and we had 1,000 people come out on a Wednesday night to hear the message of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. That was in Los Angeles last Wednesday. And last Thursday in Washington, D.C., again, All Souls Church was packed to the rafters at a follow-up meeting there. Over 1,000 people came out in Washington. So I just briefly say these things to let you know that Islam, as taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, is on the march everywhere. Before I go into any subject, I want to say to the sisters how beautiful you look. And Now, I'm not saying that the brothers are not beautiful too, but it really is pleasing to our eyes to see our Muslim sisters dressed in the manner that was taught to us by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. For this truly is the most effective witness that Elijah Muhammad and his teachings are definitely back. You don't see it so much or measure it so much by the brothers. You measure it by the sisters. And as Sister Muhammad, and I must publicly say that it is good to say Sister Tanetta, but it is better to call her by her holy name, which is the greatest of all of the names, Muhammad, Sister Tanetta Muhammad.
That's right. Yes, sir.
And we thank her so very much for the words that she spoke. And I like what she said about a marriage and a partnership here, because if we're to rebuild the work of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, it cannot be built by men alone, nor can it be built by women alone. It must be built by men and women, brothers and sisters, as the Quran says, the believing men, the believing women, the charitable men, the charitable women, the sacrificing men, the sacrificing women. This is what will make the nation strong again. Again, Sister Muhammad said that 75% of the messenger's work is the black woman. Brother, those are not lightweight words. The woman is so important to our work. We have so mistreated our women folk. We have so disrespected them. We have so dishonored them. And by dishonoring and disrespecting our women, we have really dishonored and disrespected ourselves. One day, when we have more time on that particular subject, I would like very much to talk about why the woman is 75% of the labor of the reformation and the rebuilding of the entire black nation. The woman is 75% of the job. I'm just going to say it briefly. When you teach a man, you teach an individual. When you teach a woman, you're teaching a family. When you civilize a man, you civilize an individual. When you civilize a woman, you civilize an entire family. If the black man and woman of America are a people destroyed by our enemies, and we agree that our enemies have destroyed us as a people, then they didn't leave the woman alone in that destruction. She became a means by which the house was torn down. And only through her can the house ever be rebuilt. So, the reformation of the black woman is a key part of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's work. And if you notice, there never was a teacher before or since Elijah Muhammad that had such a profound effect on black women as did the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You would marvel at an annual Savior's Day convention to see the sisters dressed in white, a sea of black women in long garments. No teacher, no leader that was on the black American scene ever civilized the black woman to that degree as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And no matter where we went in the world, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad got an awful lot of credit from scholars and scientists of every nation on earth, including the Caucasian, for his work with the black woman. Now, that work did not end with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's departure from us. That work had what we call a cessation, a minor pause, like a comma in a sentence. When you're reading English and you come to a comma, you stop and you take a breath. That's wonderful. When the Honorable Elijah Muhammad left, it was not a period. It was not even a semicolon. It was a comma, a pause. And that's all you can say 3 years of his absence without the light of his word beaming throughout America is. It's only a pause for a breather. Now, what was the breath at the pause for? Oh, brothers and sisters. Now, this is not my subject, but it certainly is a good way to start. Notice the comma. That's the way it looks. In English. It's sort of like a little dot with a hook on it. The comma. And whenever you meet that in language, you stop a moment, you breathe, and you continue. Is that right?
Right, sir.
It's a pause. It represents a pause. Now, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad worked for 40 years independent of his teacher, Master Farad Muhammad. And at the end of the 40th year, there was a pause. Something was introduced there. Strange. That produced the pause. That comma that was introduced, that produced the pause, took us downward and made it crooked. That's a little bit. We got bent up a little. But it was to give us time for reflection. You know, when you just keep going on and on and on and on, something may have transpired there that you need to stop and reflect on. So in the English language, when you're given a comma, it tells you that we have completed a thought, but we have not completed our sentence. Something has come there that needs to be looked at, reflected on. Something is coming behind it that's going to bear witness to what has gone in front of it. A comma doesn't end the sentence. A comma only tells us pause for a moment. There's a little separation, but what is coming behind that comma is reflecting on what went in front of that comma. Is that right? It's not an independent thought of its own. It's connected to that thought that preceded the comma. Now, this is not an English lesson. But why not? Let's make it an English lesson. And we'll call it English Lesson C, number 1. We'll just, for practical purposes, give it a name. Because if you don't see who number 1 is, you can't build. If you don't see God, you can't build. God is the foundation of all wisdom. In mathematics, 1 is the foundation of the mathematical language. teaches us the beginning of wisdom is the fear and the knowledge of God, and God is number one. The Bible says, know that the Lord your God is one. The Quran says, Kul huwa Allahu ahad. Say he, Allah is one. All right. Now, in this English lesson, we want to deal with the comma, the pause, which gives us time for reflection. Because what's coming after the comma, what's coming after the pause, will bear witness to what went in front. That's right. Okay. Elijah Muhammad did a mighty work in 40 years. I mean, many of you that are here today, maybe for your first time or second time, and you may not have learned much of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But if you just do a little study, a little research, even the most biased critic of Elijah Muhammad will say he's the greatest reformer ever to come among black people. He is a man who stopped drug addicts from taking drugs. Not with methadone, but with the word from his mouth. He is a man who stopped criminals from criminal behavior. Not with prison, but with a word from his mouth. He is a man who took the rejects of the society. Those that white folks said, well, we can't do nothing with it. They call it in another language of medicine, I guess they call it triage. Triage. That means just, you know, it's a thing here that you can't do nothing with. It's just there to die. This is the way they have treated black people. They've put you in a condition where you're just there to die. Nobody can do anything with you. But Elijah Muhammad proved it could be done, and he did it. But while Elijah Muhammad was working, we weren't paying him adequate attention. We really didn't respect him as we should. And the reason we didn't respect him is because he was black like us. And we have never been taught to respect anything black. This is very sad, because we could not bring ourselves to believe that a man born among so-called Negroes was in fact a messenger of God. Here's a man, Elijah Muhammad, that told us that he met with God in person. He said, I had a dream.
Be yourself.
He said, I saw him.
Genesis Radio
face
thanks you for your visit.
Mouth to mouth. I looked in his face, God looked in mine, and he taught me for 3 years and about 4 months. He said that God appeared in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, telling you that God is not a spirit, he's not a spook, he always was, he always will be a human being, but supreme in knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and power. That kind of teaching frees you immediately from spook worship. That kind of teaching says, hey, wait a minute. You mean God is a man? Hey, that's what I am. I can identify with that God, and he can identify with me. Then if God, the creator, is truly a man, then look at the wonderful capabilities, possibilities that are bound up in this little insignificant human form. We have tremendous possibilities, but we wouldn't know what we're able to do unless God made himself manifest and made one among us to do the impossible. All right, Elijah Muhammad proclaimed that he was in fact the messenger of God. Black people said, I don't believe it. God don't talk to niggas. Well, if you pardon my expression, this is exactly what we said, either in word or thought. Even many of us who followed the messenger We followed him in doubt because we really, deep down inside, were suspicious of him. Are you listening? Now look, beloved, anytime black people follow you, they never follow you in 100% faith, not even in 50% faith, not even in 10% faith. They follow you with 99% suspicion and disbelief, and 1% maybe I'll believe, but you gotta keep on showing me something, or you'll lose that 1% that I'm giving you. This is us, brother. This is why church leaders, listen to me please, this is why church leaders do not ask you to follow them. They just preach to you about Jesus and let you go. Church leaders don't ask you, come on, let's build something for the good of black people. They say, put your faith and your treasures in heaven where thieves can't get in and rob. So that don't require you to do nothing but sit there, be entertained, listen to the music, shout a little, hum a little, clap a little, amen a little, and walk out into the night as ignorant as you were when you walked in. Now that don't demand nothing. Now watch. Here comes Elijah Muhammad. He didn't say, come listen to me. He said, come follow me. Those are very powerful words. I'm going to put them up on the board. Don't worry about the English lesson. It's going to get real clear after a while. Come, follow me. Now in English, the word come here is not a subject. It's a verb. In fact, come follow is actually the verb. That's the complete verb. But the subject is you, understood. You is singular and you is plural. He's talking to those who are hearing him and those who are outside of his voice. He's saying, all of you, it's an imperative, it's an order. Come, follow me. Yes, sir. Follow means walk after. Walk after who? Me. Me is a pronoun, taking the place of the noun. The noun here is Elijah Muhammad. That's the noun. And even that is, though it's the name, it's a name of someone bigger than flesh and blood. Come follow me. Who is the me I want you to follow? Well, who is Elijah and who is Muhammad? They're both names of God himself. So it says, when it says come follow me, it's saying come and be a God. Yes, sir. Come and be yourself. Who are you? You are God's. Who are you? You are the original people of the earth. Who are you? You are the Asiatic black man, the owner, the maker, the cream of the planet, the God of the universe. Come and follow me. Come, walk after me. Why should I walk after you, Elijah? Because if you walk after me, you will discipline yourself as I have disciplined myself. And you will go through trial and tribulation. But every trial and every tribulation you go through will help to make you a master of yourself, and then a master of all the circumstances that surround you. And then you will become such a master that you will make circumstances. Good God. That's powerful. That's no lightweight thing. Come, follow me. Well, I don't know about following you, Elijah, because you black like me. Now you told me you met God, but how can I believe you? I don't believe God talks to niggas, especially a man from Georgia who didn't go beyond the 4th grade of school. I just can't believe that. Well, he knew your condition in mind. He knew even his followers were going to walk after him in faithlessness. He knew us better than we knew ourselves. I mean, and look, many of you know Muslims, right? And you remember how beautiful we used to look. Shine. And the work we did following the messenger. But this is what we did following him in 90% suspicion. We didn't do this just 100% jam up behind the man. We did this suspicious of him. We built 46 universities of Islam in America in suspicion. Did you hear me? We built 46 black independent schools following a leader, but we were suspicious of it. We owned over 40,000 acres of land following a leader that we were suspicious.
Hold on 1 second. Genesis Radio, you're on live. Who are you? Where you calling from? Go ahead.
Oh, I'm Burchap. It's the 25th of February. And you know what? They say, the poet says, this is my life.
Sorry, brother. You sounded a bit scratchy. What's going on with the phone line?
Slatchy.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Bit better, yeah, a bit better.
Yeah, because I'm speaking more closely to the iPhone.
Okay, yeah. So
I don't want to advertise myself to where I'm calling from or thingy because of the times that we live in now. Serious times we live in now.
Okay.
Yeah? All I can say is, yeah, that I woke up yesterday, the social services have phoned me, yeah, and the respite that I really like to stay at, just, you know the place, I really like to stay because I used to phone from Genesis from City Breaks, and it was for people, for disabled people like myself that had company, had food put to them, and good food as well. And guess what? They put me to Orange Street because my support planner didn't understand. Now let me tell you what I had. I was so happy. I had a dream. Yeah?
You had a
and
dream?
I was in stress. Yes.
You had a dream? What Martin Luther King type dream? What kind of dream you had?
Well, I was wearing a hoodie.
Okay.
Yeah?
That sounds like a nightmare, brother.
Basically, I took the duty social worker was in the back.
Yeah.
And the police officer was in the back.
Yeah.
And I had basically an anchor pointed at them. And they couldn't move because I was so strong. Then I just broke one bone of one of the police officers and he was screaming. Okay. The fact is, the greatness of this dream was the fact that I was so happy, so great. I just didn't want it to end, and I woke up like this, mashed up. I wanted that to happen, keep happening, because I took in control of the van. No one was going to know what I was going to do next, because I had the tools to do a perfect crime, limb from limb.
Okay, hold, slow. Yo. All right, slow down. Get a grip. Breathe, my brother. Take a nice deep breath. Hold it for a couple of seconds. Let it out slow. Take another deep breath. Just hold it for a couple of seconds. Let it out slow. Okay? One last one. Take a nice deep breath. Hold it. Couple seconds. Let it out slow. Okay? Bird chat, you cool?
Yeah.
Okay,
yes.
brother. Okay. I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Are you in London right now? Are you outside London? Where you at?
I'm in London right now.
Okay, you don't have to tell us where you are exactly. Okay, so you're off the ends. All right, brother. All right. Let me ask you. Just say yes or no. Okay, I don't want you to put yourself in any position. Where you are you allowed to freely come and go, or are you secure?
I am secure. I'm in my own. I'm in a place. Basically, my mom has gone for. My mom will come back, but I have people next door, neighbors listening to me, and they could call the police because I'm not allowed to shout like this at my own house. I'm
yes.
very frustrated about things.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Just take it easy, bro. Just take it easy. Take it easy. Breathe. It's important that when we feel the temperature gauge start to go up, we just stop and we just take a really nice deep breath.
I'm just very sad of the news that I hear. Everything is just for short in my face. Everyone's talking about things. Syria, this, that, people are dying, Palestinians, they're all talking about it. Everywhere I go, it's just been so sad. I just want to go back to respite place. My mom has just gone and she will be back soon. But in this place, you could not shout because everyone hears you. Everyone is scared. The next door neighbors before, they understood that I said I was going to do this. The social worker, he was a nice man, left because I said on his answer phone, I was going to do this, that to next door neighbor, to her. And she is a very nice lady. I met her. She's only 13 years old. She came into this flat. She was sitting down, crossed, and my sister was there. And basically, my sister told me to go upstairs because she knows that I'm going to talk about the Palestinians, what is happening in Syria, all this killing, all this violence, and basically, but I have this all around me. I am so stressed because the social services called me and they said that they are going to put me to Orient Street. I'm not good with kids. I'm not good with 13 years old people.
Well, I was gonna say, my brother. On the real, on the real. I don't think it's wise for you to be around young people, beneath a certain age, and especially not young females, because
Orient Street.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, social services instead of city breaks is older people. City breaks is older people. Orient Street is got young people. I can't explain this to the social services, although they got separate rooms, but I don't want to be around young kids in Orient Street. But they put me to Orient Street. I said to them, I would like to go to City Breaks. City Breaks is good. It caters for people that understand. Orient Street don't know me. And plus, next door to me, next door that can hear me now, is a young girl. I don't want to say her name, but the next door neighbor's daughter can hear me shout, and she's very scared when I shout.
So what you do is, my brother, is that you don't shout. It's very simple. Don't shout.
It's just that I can't get any information, any info from the Green Party. I phoned up the Green Party, I phoned up the Labour Party, I phoned up every time I hear news, this right, that thing. America right now helping the PYD group, terrorist group, terrorists come in and mash our homes, trying to mash Syria homes. Turkish army is helping them. Turkish army is helping the Syrian kids rebuild their homes. And then they say how good the Turkish army are. I'm crying every time I see this kind of Syrian kids' blood everywhere. Everyone's talking about everything. I love my Turkish army. I love my country. Everyone's talking about the same thing. I'm stressed. I'm just like you. I'm just human like you. I'm just disabled, but I'm human like you. I didn't want to phone up Genesis like this. I just wanted to, I haven't even brushed my teeth. That's just how bad it was.
Okay, so, all right, so my brother, here, I'm going to give you some advice. You don't have to follow it, but I'm going to get you anyway. Yeah, and let me get on with the show. What I suggest, number one is you go, you take a shower, get yourself in shape. Go and brush your teeth, go and have a fresh, put on some fresh clothes and, That's the first thing. Remember what they say? They say cleanliness is next to godliness. So get. So go and get yourself fixed up. Then the second thing I suggest you do, sir, is that maybe you look at doing some voluntary work, with one of these charities.
I've got one.
Yeah, do some put some hours in and do some work, because if not, if we don't do any action, then what happens is we get really frustrated with life, and then when we get frustrated, that's when things start to go a little bit haywire. So I
need someone to talk to social services for me to bring back the respite that I have, because they know my voluntary work gone down.
Yeah.
But I'm also, people know about this call that I make, because I love my country. I love my military. What they're doing in Syria, they're trying to rebuild Syrian people, save them from the bad bad people. I know this, for example, because I've watched the news. But everybody's trying to say this, that the news is too much, and even the Turkish army gave them food, gave the poor Syrian people some food and some rehousing, and then put them into their house and protecting them from these horrible other outside people that, the PYD terrorist group that's trying to destroy poor Syrian people's place. Now, that's why America now is helping the PYD, because they want to destroy Turkish places, and they want to kill Turkey. They want to destroy it. And everyone's frustrated with this news. Everyone's against America, but I'm sick and tired of sitting down, going around places, and everyone's against America. And soon there could be a problem in England and America. And I'm sick of this. Before the world ends, I just want my respite back. I want someone to talk to the social services for me to bring me back to my respite, so I can give my mum a break.
All right. So
because me and my mum is just arguing a little bit.
All right, my brother. Here's what you do. All right.
I love my mum.
Drop me an email. Yeah. I'll give you my email address. Live on air. Yeah. You drop me an email.
All right. I'm recording the show.
All right. You drop me an email. My personal email address is Rashid, Rashid. Yeah. Or then again, here to play. I don't want to be shouting my details all over the air, because a lot of crazy people out there. You know what I'm saying? So B, Birdchat, what you do? Yeah. Drop me a text.
You can send me a text on this number.
Drop me a text to the studio number with your email address, and I'll link you after the show. Yeah.
Okay. Or you can text it on this number that I'm calling from.
Okay.
All right. I don't want to give my detail, nothing, where I live, nothing about myself to anybody else, because I heard a story about someone who got mashed up, and then they burgled his place, they destroyed his house, they, broke his bones, and he was just could not go to the police, and it was too much. Well,
anyway, like I said, I'm eating a penguin now. See. So send me a text with your email address, and I'll email you afterwards. And if you need some kind of advocate, some kind of representation, we'll sort something out for you. Yeah, bruv.
All right, then.
All right, you take care, my brother. Glad to hear your call. Yeah, Assalamu alaikum. Keep the faith, baby. Keep the faith.
Bye.
Bye.
We set up international trade and became the largest importers of frozen fish anywhere in the United States of America. We had our own...
Yeah. I'm eating the penguin inside the studio. That's my man Birdchat, who phones in on a fairly regular basis. And, you gotta... When these brothers are reaching out, we can't just leave them hanging. We gotta advise, we gotta give an understanding ear. We have to make sure that, we gotta be like the Good Samaritan. Yeah, because if we ain't got each other, we're in trouble. And right now, the mental state within our community is at crisis point. Like we're in real trouble. We're in real trouble, you know. And all they're doing with the brothers, in particular, that they're just medicating it, and that's it. They're not actually curing the problem. You know, if you have a headache, you know, the headache is a symptom of something else that's wrong. But what we do is that we take the tablets nullify the senses, they dull the senses so you don't feel the pain. But it hasn't actually cured the pain. It just nullifies the pain. So whatever caused that headache is still there. But you've taken the tablet and the tablet makes you believe it's not there. They do the same thing with the medications on mental health a lot of the time. Obviously, in some cases, the brothers need to be medicated. But I would say a lot of the time, they just need someone to talk to. They just need someone to reason with. Someone to take that, you know, that situation, what they're looking at, and say, okay, top man, you're looking at it from this perspective. What about looking at it from that perspective? It's real simple. It's real simple. Good afternoon. You're through to the People's Talk Show, Genesis Radio. Who are you? Where you calling from? You're on live.
Yes, good afternoon. It's Daniel Stennett from African Sons and Daughters. How you doing, Rashid?
What are you saying, big man? How's things? I'm blessed to hear your voice, brother. Blessed to hear your voice. We're good. We're good.
Good. I'm just ringing in and shout out to all the listeners, everyone who's tuned in, all the silent.
Yep. You know that. There's a bag of silent listeners. You know
yeah. So big up yourselves. And is it okay if I just introduce myself and the organisation?
Brother, it's the People's Talk Show. You're the people. Talk. It's all yours. Go ahead.
Yeah. So basically, I'm from an organisation called African Sons and Daughters. Yeah. And I want to do two things today, as it's the people's platform, and I can share some information that I actually think is useful. Yeah. And basically, our organisation, we're a non-organisation, that to put on services for ourselves. So,
sorry, Daniel. Daniel, sorry, we're losing you. You're cutting in and out. It's like you're in a bad reception area.
Sorry, I apologize. I think it's the reception.
Yeah. No, it's cool, man. I'm just saying because you're putting out some valuable information, but we're only getting about 50% of it. So you have to repeat it in another spot so we can hear you properly. Is that cool?
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
What? I'll try to call back.
All right, bruv. All right. It's all good. People's Talk Show, Genesis Radio. I'm eating a penguin. Man, oh man. You know the mad thing? I'll give you a joke. The other day, I had this meeting with this financial lady, right? And, you know, I had to tell her how poor and penniless I was and how life is really hard. Right. Let's try again. Where we at? Okay. Yes, D, you're back. Let's see how you sound.
Hopefully this is a bit better.
Much better. Yeah.
Time?
Go ahead. Airwaves are all yours, man. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, so basically, as I was saying, our organisation is African Sons and Daughters. You can go online, www.africansonsanddaughters. We believe that our community has the ability to put on services for ourselves and others. Our mission is to promote and encourage the social, economical and physical well-being of the African community living in the UK and worldwide. Is recruiting African Sons and Daughters members, and that's basically social people that are socially aware, conscious, woke, however you want to call it, but people that also share the belief that we have the ability in our community to address our issues. And actually, one thing alongside checking out the website and seeing the work that we're doing at the moment, I'd also like to highlight an event that we're doing on June the 9th. Yeah, so it's a little while away, but
That's
you
far,
can
man.
put it in your diary.
That's years
But
away.
you can put it in your diary from now. What was that?
I said, that's years away. June is years, man.
Well, yeah, a couple of months away. Yeah, a couple of months away. But it's on June the 9th, and it's put it in your diary. It's quite an important event. And what we're doing is it's our first annual community forum. Yeah, and the theme is the community has power. Let's use it. Yeah, so it's really quite straight to the point, basically, and it's along the lines of what we're saying. And you're involved in it as well, actually, Rashid, aren't you? So you're actually on the line up with a couple of other people. I'm just going to go through who we do have speaking on the day. We have Toyin Egbetu from Ligali.
Okay.
And the public accountability, or sorry, I should say the lack of accountability from public services and public institutions in regards to also as well, he's going to touch on death in police custody, and why actually at the heart of it is the fact that some of these institutions are held to account, and we as a community need to start doing that a little bit more. We've got Lee Jasper as well from Black Sox, and he's going to be talking about the difference in working for a local and national government organisation and working for a community group, and the importance of working for both of them and working and being involved in both sectors. Yourself talking about being a Green Party activist and just a local activist in general, and the power of being involved as a councillor and the impact that you can make as a local councillor in your local area. We've got Cheryl Phoenix, the Black Child Agenda represent.
Okay. Sound good. You still there? Right. That's interesting.
She's very powerful.
Sorry,
go ahead.
We lost you for about the last, 30 seconds. You mentioned Cheryl Phoenix, Black Child Agenda, and then it went dead, and then we lost you.
Okay, well, sorry, reception.
Yeah.
But Cheryl Phoenix, the Black Child Agenda, she's basically going to be talking about the power of being an advocate and why it's important to be an advocate and actually be there, like you were mentioning, for people that are in need and they need that kind of support, because sometimes that support isn't out there. It's up to the community to be able to provide that sometimes. So she's going to be talking about that. And we've got Simon Woolley as well from Operation Black Vote. He's going to be talking about his work over the last 15 years, something like that, a little while in the community. Yeah, at least 15 years in the community, and talking about the campaigns that have gone on before and the importance of us being involved in politics on so many levels, and just sharing a bit of his experience. So it should be a good discussion, and as well, also at the heart of it, what we want to promote is action, because that's what we're about, right? And I think personally, the community, and I guess this is the people's platform, right? And if I am to say something to the community, I would say after working in the community for 6 years, because I've only recently got into it, I guess, so I'm fairly new, but I can report back that it's true. If we don't get involved in these local activities, we're in trouble, right? Because in 2011, there was something called the Great Recession. There were really big cuts and really big changes to local and national government spending, and these are things that were stripped from our communities that were not replaced. So if we are not in the position and if we don't promote and maintain the mindset that we have to take responsibility for our communities, services and other positive activities, then they're not going to be catered for.
All right, all right. So let me ask you a question, big man. You see, in regards to your panel, right, and all the different people that you got down there.
Yes.
Right. One of the things, and I'm gonna put myself out on this one here. One of the things that strike me is that when we start to discuss issues around empowerment and our community, the black community and whatever, it's like the conversations that seem to take place is like the same type of people, you know. Like I'm not knocking any of your panelists, yeah, because they have a track record of of being in that thing, right? And like I said, so I'm kind of putting myself out there. I'm putting my neck out at the same time. What I say, you're chopping off your nose to spite your face. But in regards to the solutions, for me personally, I'm looking at this, what our community is facing, and I'm thinking, all right, so we've got people like myself. I'm over 40 years old. Jasper's must be over 50. Same with Simon Woolley. Toyin, I know, late 40s, early 50s. We're all old people, so to speak, yeah? And I think the solutions that are gonna, be formulated to solve our problems, it ain't gonna come from people of our age. I think it's gonna come from some young cats that are gonna come with a completely different way of looking at the same old situation. That's my opinion. I would just suggest that you for your event, on your panel, get someone that's articulate, that's under 25 years of age on the panel to bring a fresh perspective. That's my personal, that's my 2 pence worth. What do you think about that?
Okay, first of all, yeah, I don't think you're old people. Yeah, I wouldn't say that. Yeah, I wanted to let you say that.
Trust me.
What you were saying, but yeah, I wouldn't say you're old people. I'd say you're elders in the community.
Trust me,
yeah?
brother. I tell you straight. We are old people. I remember as a youth, yeah, 18 years old, 19 years old, 20 years old, right? Think about this one, my brother. Think on this one, yeah? You see, when they had what they call the Montgomery bus boycott with Rosa Parks and they desegregated the buses down in Alabama, yeah? The head man for that was Martin Luther King, yeah? How old do you think Martin Luther King was when he led the Montgomery bus boycott?
I'm not too sure. I think it's around 26, wasn't he?
26 years old. 26. Yeah. Young bloods. By the time King was 40 or 39, he was dead. Malcolm X, young bloods. Malcolm X didn't see 40 years old. You know what I'm saying? So, and here's us. We've all crossed that 40-year-old threshold, and we've been in it. And it's like there's a what's the man's name? Einstein. Einstein has a saying: if we do the same thing continually and expect a different result, we call it insanity. And I think we could, or not we, but it's your event, so you run your event how you want to run your event. But I think that if we don't tap into what the young people are doing, and some of their to make that connection, it says, was it old man for council, young man for war? We still got old men trying to be warriors. Nah, we got to step back. We got to step back and let these young bloods step up to the plate and let them make their mistakes and do what they're doing. That's just my opinion, but what do you think, bro? What do you think?
Okay, and like I was saying, yeah, I hear what you're saying, and what I was saying to you before was that I don't think you're old people. First of all, I think you are respected elders, and I think that's the purpose of the event, right? Is because that's what we're doing. We're recruiting members of the public, young people, people of all ages, to be fair, that want to get involved in the community, and we're giving them an opportunity to hear from people like yourselves that have been doing things in the community, just to kind of strengthen our case, right? Okay. And actually show the importance of having that community network of people that understand the importance of what you're saying and understand what actions can be taken moving forward. Okay. So that's what we're trying to do.
Okay.
Because as I mentioned before, we are recruiting African Sons and Daughters members, and that's people that are socially aware. If they're listening to this conversation, and if they're reading the literature, and if they're seeing what we're actually doing, they can understand that alongside, because I 100% agree with you, yeah, that we've got into a pattern of behavior that we kind of encourage discussion without action.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
and that is a fair criticism. Yeah, But then I think sometimes it's important to understand that not everybody's at the same level of understanding.
Sure.
So you have to remember that a big part of what we're doing, as you mostly know, Rashid, is about educating the community and understanding, I guess, why we're doing what we're doing. Yeah. This is the purpose of the event. And I just want to say for the record, African Sons and Daughters is about moving forward and putting proactive things in place so we can address some of the issues that we face.
Right.
That's what we're about. So that's what I would like to say about it.
Okay, no, that's cool. All right, so you see, in I think it's about 9 weeks time, we've got okay. Big shout outs to young Tali, my little goddaughter down there in South London. She's 16, and she's trying to get her head around some of this stuff that's going on. So big shout outs, Tali. The topic of the conversation is brother. Explain again for the young sister who's locked on, Tali, down in South London. Explain to her what your organisation's all about. Yeah.
Okay.
Make it plain for the 16-year-old. Go ahead.
I'll make it plain. So I'm in East London. Yeah, we're in East London. We started off in East London, and basically I'm a member of the community, right? So the whole idea about African Sons and Daughters is that if you work with people in your community that understand what our situation is in the UK, and not only in the UK but globally, and see the importance of creating that network of people, you can gather together and put on services for yourselves and others. So just as an example of one of the things that we do is a Saturday school, for example. The Saturday school runs throughout the year. It costs parents £32 a month, and it's a 3-hour session. Yeah. Okay. So every single Saturday, 3-hour session, and it costs you £32 a month.
That's very good.
That's reasonable. Yeah.
No, trust me. That's good. That's very good.
Yes, that's very good. And the only reason why we can do that is because we work with people in our area that are interested in supporting that kind of service. So the way that it would apply in your area, so if you're in South London, we have a couple of members in South London. You would gather together, find a space to do the service, and we will support you in that.
Okay.
And that's the power of having the network.
How many people go to your Saturday school?
At the moment, we have 9 students.
Okay. And what's the age of the students?
It's between 6 and 16.
Okay. And I'm assuming that they enjoy
it. It's one of those things where we can offer resources and activities and opportunities outside of school.
Yeah.
That are specific to our community. These kind of activities used to be funded, but they are no longer funded. If we do not put on these services for the young people,
ain't no one gonna do it.
Just like your 16-year-old, was it your niece?
My goddaughter.
Your goddaughter. Yeah. So, and this is the thing, and I want to explain it to your goddaughter because that's what you want to do. Yeah.
That's right. Make it plain for the youngsters.
When I was 16, I was given opportunities to take part in sporting activities, extracurricular things, in my spare time.
Yeah.
They used to be funded. Even when I was 16, for example, this used to be funded as well. Like things like connections. I used to be able to go to somewhere outside of school and get career advice, and someone would help me find a job and do bits and pieces. People still do that, but not to the extent as before.
Yeah.
And as a 16-year-old, basically, I can't really. I guess this is what you're inheriting as a 16-year-old.
Say that again?
And I said, this is what you're inheriting as a 16-year-old. I've got to be honest. Our community need to come together, and we need to work together. In the past, we haven't done that as much as we could have.
Yeah.
And the community services, as I was mentioned, that used to be funded before, are no longer funded. So we are creating those services for you, and we have to encourage that kind of activity in your area, because as well also we are missing out. Yeah, and as a 16-year-old, you are missing out in having those tight connections and those tight networks in your community. You'll have more problems growing up if you don't talk with people in your community. You'll have more fear of other people in your community if you don't talk and have a strong community. You will not be able to address issues in your community if you do not talk and work together with people in your community.
All right,
That's as simple as it is.
And all right, big man. So I hear you loud and clear on that one, right? And if my goddaughter down there doesn't understand it, I'm sure she'll drop me a text, and be like, "Yo, unks, this ain't making sense to me." You hear that, Tyler? Yeah. So you know the numbers, right? But what I was gonna say was, if there's 1.5 million black people in London, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people.
100%.
Out of the London population, if London got a population of about 7.5 mil or 8 million people or something, if you got 1.5, you got a nice amount of people down there, and you'd have figured that we would have been just getting on and working together and just doing our stuff naturally. But for some reason, we can't seem to even, apart from maybe put on a dance or something like that, there ain't nothing going on, bruv. I mean, we got elections coming up in what, 8 weeks' time. Local elections. Councillors are being elected with 1,000 votes. And at the same time, there's youths that are out there that have got their little YouTube profile, and them men are getting like 1 million hits, 2 million hits. But ain't no one said, well, how do we connect this to create some kind of meaningful change within our communities? Well, what's going down? And I don't know, bro. So tell me, African sons and daughters, elections come up in 8 weeks' time. What's the move?
Well, what's the move? We're not in the position, just to kind of add on to what you're saying, we're not in a position at the moment to make any sort of effect on the community and on a local, on a national level, because we're not organised. Not only does that go for African sons and daughters, I think that goes for the community in general, and we are reflective of that.
So
that's what I would say. And I guess this is why I would say as well also that this is why we have to address it. This is why I speak to the community and to the 16-year-olds to know that this is what we are and this is the situation that we face, and why we have to address it by creating those networks and building up people to participate in these kind of things, because at the moment we are not. And the interesting thing about understanding where our community is right now is that you have to look at the history and you have to look at our situation and you have to see how we can move forward, right? Because back in the day, our attention was on settling, I guess, and there was a lot of more overt racism, and more blatant, overt, more obvious racism. Yeah. So we have to address that. If you knew in your community that you were going to be chased down the street, yeah. So let's talk about a 16-year-old, or even just adult, right? Anyone. You would have been in danger of being harassed, and the community would have to gather around that fact. Yeah? Yeah. Are we in agreement? Yeah?
Yeah. Go ahead.
So that was something that was a pressing issue that forced us into action, right? So we could survive and thrive as a community. Right now, if you ask people if they have been affected by, say, for example, knife crime or something like that, if they know someone that's been affected by knife crime, they might say, yeah, cool, I might know somebody. That's been a slight shift in our attention as well. And if I ask it, just on the same question, if I ask you about profiles and who's the biggest Instagram person or YouTube person, people would know. Maybe our focus is being shifted slightly, right? And like I said, it's because we don't have those strong networks of people and we don't have that strong community groups, we don't understand that, right? And then we've kind of lost that. So I guess that's what we need, and I guess there is a slow consensus being formed, which there has always been. Right. But can I just finish though? Sorry, Rashid. Can I just finish though?
Go ahead.
Yeah. I guess this is why it's important to put the effort and energy behind raising awareness of these kind of things and putting in proactive actions to address it. Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
The proactive action that we're taking, right, is to recruit African Sons and Daughters members in different areas so they can form up strong community groups and then support and put into action things that are going to make a difference in their community.
All right, bruv. All right. Here's
that's
one for you. Did
that make sense?
It makes sense. I've got several questions, but I won't eat up all the airtime. Yeah, I've got several questions. Yeah. I think the first one, and this relates back to my goddaughter who's 16. She, as a 16-year-old coming out of her world as a 16-year-old, is trying to engage with this conversation, and it's not quite obvious, or it's not quite understandable, it's not quite understood by young people of 16. So we have to shift our language, we have to shift our communication model, so people understand what it is we're talking about very quickly. You know, that was the beauty of Malcolm X. Malcolm X was a man who understood 100% the psychology of the ghetto, because he came through that. So when he spoke in a language where he could talk to a man with a PhD or a man who's on the road level hustling, and he doesn't have to change his language, because it's like, rah, this man understands communication. He's talking to the PhD man, but he's talking to him in such a way the PhD man exactly knows what he's talking about, and at the same time, the man from the road who might not have the PhD, who might not have finished high school, is like, you know what? I get it. It makes sense. Yes, I understand. And I think our language, and I think with these, and I hate to use the word with these old bloods, and I put myself, like I said, us people that have crossed the 40 years old threshold, if we don't develop a new way to communicate with these young bloods, we lost them. And we're going to be talking to ourselves, having the same conversation that we've been having for the past. I know, Jasper.
Well, okay, so wait, so can I just jump in there though, yeah?
No.
Hold on, let me jump in there.
Let me finish. Top man, please, I beg you. Let me finish. Remember, I said I had like several questions. So the first one was in relation to the language that we use, because we have to make it more inclusive for the younger heads. I got Tarly down in South London, intelligent young sister going through the schooling system, but still hasn't made that connect between society and what they're teaching her in school. That's one thing. But then on the other level, we have to lead by example. So the work that organizations such as your organization is doing is commendable. You know, it's good works that you're doing. But for me, I'm like, well, if the local election is coming up in 8 weeks' time, and people are getting elected to be councillors with 1,000 votes, and what we don't understand with politics is that the real power in the politics lies in the local politics. It's the local politics that decide whether or not your youth centre gets closed or whether or not it remains open. It's not the Prime Minister, it's not the Chancellor of the Exchequer, it's not the people down at number 10 Downing Street, it's the man them down in the Town Hall, Hackney Town Hall, Lambeth Town Hall, Lewisham Town Hall. Them little devils that are getting elected with 1,000 votes are the ones that are making the decisions that affect our communities. When the councils decide that they're going to go and take our housing estates where we live, because remember now, about 65% of black people are living in social housing. Housing estates in South London, where we're from, you got like 70% black people. The estate that I lived on in Brixton, that was 95% black. But then the decision to, what they say, regenerate our estate resulted in half the people getting dashed out onto the street, and the other half got some little diggy flats. And that was the local councillors that made these decisions. And here's my point, brother. I went past a building recently. It was called, we knew it as Lewisham Way Community Centre. And I remember, because Genesis used to have meetings down there. And the, what's the group there? The Black Fathers Support Group used to have their meetings down there. And I went down to one of their meetings one time, and I sat in on the meeting, and I tried to explain to these brothers about the importance of getting involved in the local politics and how decisions are made. And the man kind of looked at me like, what? well, we don't vote, and they was and I was like, okay, that's cool. I said, but the building that you're in is a council building, and when the council decide to close this building because they want to sell it, who are you gonna turn to? And the man then didn't really give me too much play on this one. And now, lo and behold, I go past the building's closed, boarded up, council building, community centre, locked off. And the man that was in there that was having these big meetings couldn't even work out who we're going to vote for, what are we voting for, what's we going to do. And I just want myself, there you have it, brother. If we don't get involved before the process happens, not after the process, here's my point. We got 8 weeks. I got to give a big shout out to Dwayne Brooks for standing as the mayor of Lewisham, because at least Dwayne understands the political process and he's put himself forward. And I got to give a shout out to all them black men out there that are getting all excited over Jeremy Corbyn, who came at me and was trying to gun me because I cussed them for supporting Jeremy Corbyn, because I said, you don't even understand the policy of what you're dealing with. And for you, sir, I got to big you up and say, end of the day, what you're doing is a powerful, powerful thing. All I'm saying is, my brother, put your foot on the gas pedal. Make something happen before the election. And then, when your event goes down in June, what you can do is that you can say to people, look, we turned this around in a matter of weeks and we achieve this result. Now, going forward, we have an example of what we can do. Let's move on. As opposed to having a meeting after the event and it becomes like an autopsy. You feel me, brother? Anyway, your place, big man. Go ahead. African Sons and Daughters, it's your time. It's your time. And I love the conversation. Keep it going.
It is a conversation. Yeah, because I didn't want to make a point. I fell back and I'll let you make. It wasn't really a question, Sheed. It was a statement and a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had to let you finish that. And I agree with some of the points that you were making and the general gist of it. And I guess I need to correct myself and just to clarify, I guess. Yeah. I think for this election, what we are doing right now is promoting it and talking and educating people about people that are running for local elections and the importance of being involved. I think that's an important discussion that we're having, and I guess actions that we're doing right now is doing that. Excellent. But to answer your question though, because you're trying to make me relate the question to the 16-year-old.
I have to.
Bring it back. But wait. This is where I wanted to jump in. Yeah.
Go ahead.
This was my train of thought.
Yeah.
Because the question and the answer is going to be the same for someone aged 6, 16, or 60.
Okay.
We need to organize.
Of course.
We need to create networks of people that understand the situation at the moment, the history, our current situation, and where we can go in the future and what we can do in the future. We need to organize. If you are someone who's out here and you understand that you're socially aware, conscious, woke, whatever you want to call it, so depending on your age, you might call it something different, right?
Yep.
But if you know better, and if you are listening to these kind of things, if you see the promotions for these kind of activities and events, get involved. Yes. If you don't support organizations that are promoting things that are going to make an impact, then you're not going to make an impact. If you don't promote those things in your circle, in your community, those things won't grow.
All right, so
you know, that would be the same thing. So because sorry, Rashid, let me finish what I'm saying, please.
Fire, go ahead.
Yeah, because I went to an event the other day and someone posed that question as well. Yeah, I think two people posed that question of how they can get involved. And I said to them, you have to get involved. You have to be proactive. However you can make an impact. And this is I guess it's two answers, right? Because first of all, if you are conscious, woke, however you want to call it, socially aware, get involved. Support. If you have a certain skill that you can offer, if you see a gap for an activity or a service and you can provide it, do it. Yeah. If you want to support an organization that's doing it, do that. Yeah. Because you are aware that we need that support. So that's the first thing, right? And like I said, with African Sons and Daughters, just to bring it back with what we're doing, is that's what we're doing at the moment. We're creating those, because it's funny how you mentioned about the local councillors. I agree with you. Like I said, I agree with you. If you look at the panel guests, I agree with what you're saying in general. And I went yesterday to the local council selection process.
Yeah.
In Stratford, because they were holding it in Stratford yesterday.
Uh-huh.
So I understand about what you're saying with the margins and the amount of people that actually people need to get to vote for them to be elected.
Yeah.
So it's safe to say, right, that if you had, for example, 1,000 people that were a part of African Sons and Daughters in Newham or in South London, where your goddaughter is based, when we want to put our support behind a local councillor, we could do that.
Yep.
Collectively. And we could make sure that our interests were put forward.
Absolutely.
And represented.
Absolutely.
So that's what I'm saying, and I hope that kind of clarifies where I think African Sons and Daughters can make an impact, and membership-based organisations like African Sons and Daughters can make an impact. So when people do hear of things like this going on, whether you're 16, 26, 36, 60, whatever your age, get involved somehow.
All right. So
right? That's what I would. That's how I would put it.
Beautiful.
That's what I can really say.
Beautiful. No. It's beautiful, man.
Because as well. Also, just to feed back as well.
Yep.
When I was 26, I started African Sons and Daughters. So we've been going for a little while,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So I can tell you from my own personal experience of being someone who's socially aware, conscious, woke, whatever you want to call it, by taking it out of the theory and putting it into practice,
Absolutely.
I've done things in my community.
Absolutely.
So I know 100%.
Absolutely.
If we did this on a wider scale,
Absolutely. All right, brother. I hear that. Yo,
it's going to be productive. And that's what we need to promote and encourage. So that's what African Sons and Daughters is doing, yeah?
Here's one for you, right? And then I'm gonna kind of get back to what we're doing, but you know, cause it's people's talk show. It's not
that's what I wanted to say. I hope the listeners hear me, and I hope, yeah.
Let me see. Quick shout outs. Got to big up my brother Yinka out there locked on. So big up yourself, Rashid. Good conversation going on. Also big up my 5% brother. Kojo, aka Poetic, who did an event down there in Sydenham on Friday down at the Cherry and Ice ice cream parlor. Got to give the brothers who own that spot a shout out for making the venue available. We looked at this whole thing around black mental health, and I was speaking down there on the fuck gene, aka the nigger gene, and how the hell we become infected by this madness. But here's my question to you, my brother. You see this little movie here that's got people going mad.
Genesis Radio.
You know what I'm talking. You know what I'm talking
Yeah, Black
about.
Panther.
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about.
If you use your phone while you're driving.
2 questions, and then we're gonna let off. Yeah, then you can go. 2 questions. Number 1, have you seen the movie yourself? And number 2, what do you think it is that has got black folk going like hysterical over a Hollywood film? Go ahead, bro.
Okay, first one, I have seen it.
Okay.
And actually next week we're going to take the children to go and see it after the session as well.
Okay.
And I think to answer your second question, why people are so excited about it is 2 fronts. Yeah. First of all, there's a lot of promotion behind it. A lot of hype, a lot of money behind it. It's taken a lot of money to make that film, right?
Yeah.
That production value. So there's a lot of money behind it, and it is a big series as well, right?
Yeah.
And I guess what the main thing about it is that it's highlighting the representation, and it's good. And the reason why people are excited about it is because it is a representation of ourselves. But I would say the only thing that people would say about it is, and I think I was saying it to someone the other day, it's a bit of a shame that it's only a fantasy, right? fantasy kind of thing. And it's sold like that, right? I don't want to get into the other issues within the film. That's another conversation.
Yeah. I just it just came to mind.
But in general, I think the reason why
I haven't seen it. I refuse to go. I'm waiting for the Chinese DVD to come out. I'm gonna support my chiggers. Yeah, I'm supporting my chiggers, man. I'm getting a DVD.
But my point behind it is the point behind it though is that there has been a great deal of promotion, right?
Yeah.
And there isn't that same amount of money promotion put behind other activities.
Yeah.
That's one thing that is highlighted for me, right?
Okay.
And that's part of what it is, a bit of the hype. Because when I watched it was another film, right? It's just another film in the series of Marvel.
Yeah.
That's about it. We can't overhype it too much, but like I said, I think a lot of the reason why people are happy about it is because of the representation. And it highlights that we don't have a lot of people that represent us in mainstream media, you know? And it's good to see that, it's good to see, man. It's very good to see a black superhero. And he's a good superhero as well. Like, he's a black man, like, and he's a superhero. Come on, man. And it's one of those things as well where it's a positive thing for our children to see, to have people that are reflecting them, you know, and especially these stories like that.
Okay.
You know, and
yeah,
because we all know the whole, and as well, I think as well that a lot of people have taken to heart that if Africa was uninterrupted, right?
If it's a big word, isn't it? If is a giant word, man. The biggest word ever.
I did say I didn't want to get into it, Rashid. I did say I didn't want to get into it.
So don't do it then. Don't do it. Open up the phone lines for someone else.
Don't get into it. I'm sorry, brother.
That's good.
But yes, but in general, we need to be more proactive and we need to push positive images and positive activities within our community. So please visit AfricanSonsAndDaughters.com. If you type in African Sons and Daughters into the Google, you'll find us straight away, and support us. Right. You know, if you want to get involved in a proactive organisation that's putting on services for ourselves and others in our community proactively, get involved.
All right, bruv.
And if you don't want to get involved with us, get involved with something else.
Sounds
Just be proactive and be positive.
Beautiful. All right, my man.
Big up yourself, Rashid.
Listen, big up yourself. Thank you for the call, brother. Very, very enlightening. Keep up the good works, and may the good Lord, whoever it is you worship, be it the ancestors, be it the grand architect of the universe, be it Yahweh, be it whoever it is, just keep on doing what you're doing, brother. Bless. Bless. Bless.
Small airport facilities.
Genesis Radio. I got the big man D-Roll on. Hold on a sec. Yo, D-Roll, what's up? I said what? Hold on a sec. What am I looking for?
Indiana. And a cargo plane.
Okay, gotcha.
And a jet
all right, brother, nice one. Yeah, I gotcha. All right, D.
But we did all of this.
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. Yeah, bless.
Can you imagine?
All right. 1-2-1-2 Genesis Radio. Okay, in full effect. Like you know it wasn't it really?
His disciples,
it was me with the mic and not talking directly into the microphone. So my apologies, but yes, we're all good. We're all good.
You could
hold on 1 second.
To a mountain, be removed. Or you could say to the sycamore tree, be uprooted and be planted in the depth of the sea. He said, but you have such little faith. But what were we going on? What were the disciples going on if they really didn't have faith? They were going on what they could see the master do. He was really enchanting them, if I may. I don't want to use that word enchanting, because he wasn't an enchanter, but he was really pulling on them through the miraculous things that he did. Isn't that pitiful? After a man makes blind folks see, deaf folks hear, dumb folks speak, and raise up dead folk to life, that should tell you enough. God is with him, but still they doubted. until there came a pause, a comma. Who introduced the comma, the pause? It was introduced by a man named Judas. Judas was a disciple of the master. Is that right? He was jealous of his master, jealous of his teacher. He wanted to show that he was better for the poor than Jesus himself. This is clear if you read the words of Judas. Judas was so loved by Jesus, yet nothing Jesus could do could make Judas a true believer. Judas got so upset with the master because he believed in him, but he wanted him to demonstrate his messianic power. But Judas didn't know the time. He was an impatient man. He wanted Jesus, come on, show him that you the Messiah. Show him you the Son of God. I mean, manifest your power. And when the Jesus would get into circumstances that Judas would make, Jesus would back away from it or sidestep it, then Judas began to doubt. I wonder, is he really what I thought he was? Then Judas began to be suspicious of his teacher more and more, and that suspicion led Judas to become the comma or the pause for reflection in the light of the Messiah. All praise is due to Allah. So Jesus now, in this pause, goes through what we call trial, tribulation. Look at the words. He goes through death. And in this period, all of his disciples go down. See it? They go down. But that down is not permanent because it's not a period. It's not the end of the work. It's a pause for reflection. And when Judas led Jesus to Calvary, I'm going to put that word on the board, Calvary. Something happened at Calvary that turned the whole thing around. When Jesus stood there, crucified, and in they say, I think it was the 11th hour, he gave up the ghost, and he said, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? What did he mean, forsaken me? God had promised him that he would deliver him out of this condition. And Jesus looked as though he began to doubt himself in that hour. He wasn't quite sure whether he would be delivered. It appears, I'm not talking about the great one. He had no doubt, but that's talking about someone suspicious, someone doubting, and is in a condition at Calvary where the doubt manifests itself in a prayer. Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. And one of the soldiers nearby uttered these words. Behold, he calls for Elijah. Let us see if Elijah will take him down.
Let us see. Let us see. Let us see what's really going down. 07931276232. It's the People's Talk Show. It's myself, brother Rashid Nix, up inside the studio, and let us see what's really going down. We had last call in there, African sons and daughters, giving a little breakdown, little interaction, little interplay. Big event they got coming up in June. I mean, I said to the brother, I said, that feels like years away, man. You know, black people, we deal with dog years, man. You know what I'm saying? We're not planning past the weekend, brother. Come on now. Seriously. Next weekend, next Friday. Thank God it's Friday. That's what I'm looking at. Go down to the Satay bar, get my swerve on, you know. get my Bacardi, Tony Bacardi, in my 300-pound belt, you know, wearing my 2,000-pound rucksack. You know what I'm saying? Big expensive car that I done bought and paid for while sleeping in the little bedroom at my granny's yard. You know? Black man, buy a car and rent a room. Crazy Negroes, man. No wonder we get laughed after. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. But we deal with dog years, man. You know what I'm saying? June is years away for a lot of people I know. You know? Crazy like that. But I asked the brother the question. In relation to that mad film that got everyone gripped up and weak and everything, you know, very, very interesting. I've got to give a couple shouts to a couple people that's locked on. Got my little goddaughter down there in South London, Tarly. If the man never made himself plain and clearly understood, please let us know, you know, because we do this stuff for you, man. We do this stuff for you. What else have we got going on here? So yeah, we got a couple of little messages come through. Big shout outs to Mr. D-Roll, who's in and around the capital somewhere. Yo, big man, just eat the healthy food, you know. Seriously. I heard that KFC run out of chicken, and the same time KFC run out of chicken, you come down with the flu. You know what I mean? Now look at this. We got someone here on a private call. Shall I take it? What the hell? Might as well. Private caller. Let's see what goes on. All right, listeners. Good afternoon, Genesis Radio, People's Talk Show. Who are you? Where you calling from? You are on live. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is X.
Hello.
Hello. My name is X.
Your name's X.
Yeah.
Okay, X. How you doing?
I'm good.
That's good. You sound very calm and peaceful. I like that.
Yes, I am.
Yes.
I just wanted to know. I just wanted to ask you a question.
Ask me any question you want. Go ahead.
Right. I have two questions for you. The first one is, why is Islam so racist, segregated, and divided?
Okay, it's a big question. And what's
That's
the other question?
number one.
Mm-hmm.
And the second question is, there is so much gun and knife crime within the black community.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't it be better for you to have like an outreach service where you go and speak in the schools or approach the youth? How can you tackle it? Because there's been 2 stabbings this week.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, at number 3, I'm a first-time listener.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Okay. Right, so your first question was, you say, why is Islam so divided and racist?
And segregated, yeah.
And yeah, it's segregated. Okay, when you say segregated, what do you mean? What, the men from the women, or the Arab from the African? What segregation are you talking about? Or just
no, I'm not
just in
talking
general?
about women and men. I'm talking about within Islam itself.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to know. I mean, even the women are divided and segregated and racist. Or you have, for example, the Somali doesn't want to mix with another African.
Really?
And they call them, oh yes, and they call them Abid. I want to know, because the Somali don't like other blacks. They don't want to marry them into their families.
Don't.
And it's the same.
Right, my sister, do you think that maybe that's like what they call a sweeping generalization? Because this week I was actually working with Somalian groups, and I'm involved in a project where we got Somalians elders sitting down with black West Indian Christians, and they're having dialogue. I know one family where the husband is Somali, the wife is West Indian, and they're married and they get along, and So I hear what you're saying on one level, and on the other level, I'm like, yo, that's a bit general. It's a bit generalized. We got to come a little. But yeah, anyway, go ahead. It's your question.
And that's it.
Okay, so Islam divided and racist, and gun and knife crime, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And outreach for gun and knife crime. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Miss X, who called in on the. Why did you call in on a withheld number? I'm just curious because usually I don't take withheld numbers.
Okay. It's my first time calling.
Yeah.
And I'm just a private person.
You're just a private. So you don't even say your name. So your name is X on a withheld number.
Yeah.
Okay. I take on board what you're saying, and at the same time, if it's the People's Talk Show, then we have to have a certain degree of what we call transparency. So one of the rules that we have in the show is that we don't really take withheld numbers, because we find that when people call them withheld numbers, they got some kind of ulterior motive. People phone in the show, the numbers come up, we can see who they are, and it's all cool. It's not like we're gonna put a tracking device on your number and what's your name and da. But for you to be X on a withheld number, I'm like, okay, you're a private person, but that's cool. All right, Miss X, do you want to hold the line, or do you want to log off and let me talk? It's up to you. Entirely up to you. I'll give you.
I'll come off the line. I'm a first-time caller, so I'm not used to. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. All right.
It's nice to hear you.
All right, Miss X, it's a pleasure having you too, and just spread the word and let people know that Genesis Radio have been holding down in terms of putting out the information on the community level for many years. Many years, and what you notice as well, Miss X, before you go, is that the spaces, the forums where black people can actually have a discussion and a conversation about issues that are pertinent to us are getting smaller and smaller and smaller, to the point where we can't even have the conversations. So to know that the People's Talk Show is still here after, I don't know, must be getting on for 30 years now, something like that, it's a big thing. So we're glad to have you on board. Okay? Okay, Miss.
And also, it would be good if you could team up with other radio stations as well.
Okay, I hear that. Yeah. Occasionally, we stuff does happen, but I hear you. We have to be a bit more proactive. No, that is very true. That's very true.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Miss X, go ahead. And what else you want to say?
I'm just surprised I found you, but it's all good.
You're surprised you found us.
Yeah.
Hey, Miss X, before I deal with your questions, let me ask you. Everyone's gone hype about this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen this movie?
No, I haven't. No.
Okay. Why haven't you got to see this? Why not? I'm curious.
I don't really get into hype stuff, but I will do.
Yeah. No. You know what? It must be me and you must be the only people in London, in England, in the world that ain't seen this film. Seriously,
no, I haven't seen it.
People have gone. I almost said they've gone backed SHIT crazy over this film, but I didn't say. People gone mad over this film. Mad.
No, I haven't seen it. But from what your previous caller said, it sounds like it's very positive.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Me personally, I'm a bit. When I see a lot of hype behind something, my natural instinct is to just be very suspicious. That's just how I am, because I studied I studied with a crew called the 5%, and the value system is that 85% of the population are led in any direction by the 10% of the population. You just lead them in any direction, and so all I'm looking at is I'm seeing the mass of black people that are being led in any direction. I've never seen this in a long time. It's really interesting. It's really, really interesting to behold. And as much as the film is a positive film and people are getting really, feeling good about it, I'm thinking, but this is Hollywood. And we know that Hollywood for the past 100 years has just been the number one tool to brainwash the people. So now all of a sudden, after 100 years of brainwashing, because there was a film called Birth of a Nation, W.D. Griffiths came out where it was like the negative portrayal of black people. That's 100 years old, and 100 years later they're making this positive black film, and I'm like, yo, look at the track record. There's something else going on here, but that's just me. I'm like that. I'm like that. Anyway, Miss X, let me answer your questions for you, and we can get with the show. Okay? But keep it locked. Keep it locked. All right, my dear. Bless up. Okay. So let me see. Genesis Radio, People's Talk Show. Greetings to the new caller, Miss X, who comes in on a withheld number. You know, caution, as we say. So she asked me a couple of questions. She said, why is Islam so divided, so segregated, and so racist? And me, as a person who is a Muslim, I can absolutely 100% see where she's coming from. Because when we look at things like media portrayal, what we're seeing is that we're seeing a very Arabized form of Islam that's being perpetrated and being pushed. So when you look in places like Libya, for example, you know, and what these crazy, batshit crazy Arabs are doing in Libya, you can understand where those types of questions will come from. Because you imagine when Libya was the most progressive African nation, when Libya donated more money to the African Union than any other country, when Libya was the country that was responsible for launching the African satellite, so we could get away from having to, you know, lease satellites from the Europeans, when Libya was proposing an African currency backed by gold under Gaddafi to really make Africa develop, there was no problem. And then there was a set of crazy Arabs that Gaddafi had in prison. You know, these people would be recognized as being what you call Al-Qaeda, ISIS. These were the crazy ones. And Gaddafi had them locked up, and Gaddafi was encouraging Africans into Libya. And Gaddafi was even encouraging Libyan women to marry African men, because he understood the limitations that the Arab man had in terms of his cultural viewpoint. You know, didn't know whether it was coming or going half the time. And what happens is that you take the most progressive African nation and you whip up some little media firestorm, and before you know it, you got the only word I can use to describe them is the fuck us. F-U-K-U-S. Fuck us. France, United Kingdom, and the United States. And they've gone into Libya and they've unleashed an absolute hell on earth for those people. Destroyed the infrastructure, got the Arabs, the crazy Arabs, armed them to the teeth, released them from prison, and set them loose on the civilian population. And they terrorized that population. And all those African people that were there working as part of the Libyan system, they killed them, they locked them up, they tortured them, they brutalized them. And all this was happening with the backing of the Western nations. So this is the thing about it. So when we start talking about why is Islam so divided, Islam itself isn't divided. But what it is that there are people within the religion, within the movement, who in any way, shape, form or fashion do not want to see unification of different people. The most people that die from these crazy ISIS, these crazy Muslims that, you know, that go around chopping off people's heads, is other Muslims. They kill more Muslims than anyone else. So obviously, this group of people are being backed for a certain purpose, for a certain reason, for a certain agenda. And that's really what we got to get to grips with, you know, because obviously you're going to look and you're going to find people have cultural differences. You know, same within Christianity, there's cultural differences. I remember when my parents came to this country in the 1960s, black people couldn't go to certain church. Simple as that. I seen the pictures. Bottom of Summerlayton Road, Cole Harbour Lane. Sam had to build a church with his bare hands because the black people would go to the white churches and they would scorn them. This is Christianity. So I understand that within all these religions, there are these issues and there are these characters who say one thing and they do something else. But Madam X, in the Quran, it says, Allah says in the Quran, O mankind, We made you in different tribes and different nations so that you should learn, so that you would know each other and you would learn from each other. That was a very simple instruction. It says that on the final sermon given by the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he said, on this day I have perfected your religion. And there's no superiority in Islam. There's no difference between a black and an Arab and a slave and a non-slave. Because if you think about who Prophet Muhammad's right-hand man, who Bilal was a slave. He was an African slave, a black slave. And he's gone from the position of being a slave to the right-hand man of the Prophet. So if we can talk on a metaphorical level, you can see the journey. So this idea of having differences and divisions is something that you got a set of people who, for their particular reason, they want to keep that there. But the theory is that it shouldn't be there. It just shows you how twisted some people really are, because they claim to be one thing, but then they don't do what it is they claim to be. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? So within Saudi Arabia, they practice some real backward form of Islam not because of the religion, but because of the politics. Because you have two main clans in Saudi. So you have the House of Saud, S-A-U-D, House of Saud. Saudi Arabia did not exist until the 1920s. Before that, it was Arabia. And then the British backed the Sauds. The Sauds took over control and they called it Saudi Arabia. And the deal that went down was that the House of Saud, this bunch of desert Arabs, they looked after the business and the politics. And then there was another group called Wahhab, the Wahhabis. And the Wahhabis looked after the religion. And that's the deal. That's what went down. Saud and Wahhab. And Wahhab was like, we won't get involved in the business affairs or the politics. We will deal strictly with the religion. And the form of Islam practiced by the Wahhabs is a very backward form of Islam. Very, very backward. It's the type of Islam that will have people go into places like Mali and go into the libraries and into the mosques and take 1,000-year-old manuscripts that have been written in Arabic that have been handed down and set fire to them. It's that type of backward Islam. And that type of Islam is the one that is supported by the West. The West love it when they see these crazies do this stuff. They love it. What they don't want to see is they don't want to see Muslims just sitting down, being normal and getting on with life, because it doesn't fit the stereotype. So to answer your question, miss, why is Islam so divided? Why is it so racist? I would say there are racist people within the religion, no doubt whatsoever. Just like there are racist people all over the place. There are racist Christians, there are racist Buddhists, there are racist Hindus. They're all over the place. And I think they are also within Islam. What you say about the Somalis, I hear what you're saying, and at the same time I disagree with what you're saying, because like I said, I work with Somalian groups and we get along fine. Couple days ago I went out to dinner with 3 Somalian ladies and a Somali and an imam from a mosque over in North London. We sat down in a Somalian restaurant and we had food and we ate and we chatted, and it was fine. It was calm. It was totally calm. And I think they're starting to realize when they see their Somalian children get involved in gang culture and street culture, I think they start to realize, hold on a sec, we're all in this thing together. But definitely there is, without a doubt, 100% an Arab influence, and the Arabs do have a lot to answer for. They definitely have a lot to answer for with some of these very strange cultural practices that have worked themselves into the religion of Islam. Islam means submission to the will of God, and one who submits is called a Muslim, and it's as simple as that. And it comes from the root word of salam, and salam means peace. How you have the Hebrews to say shalom, same thing. Okay, I hope that answers your question. If it doesn't, please feel free to call back. Also, what I would say in regards to me personally, as a quote unquote West Indian, my family come from Barbados. I'm not a Jamaican. I'm from Barbados, and a little tiny island, the most easterly island in the Caribbean. 166 square miles, 14 miles by 21. I got to give a big shout out to a fine sister, Miss Natalia Peters, out there in the sunny island of Barbados, from South London no less, who's gone back to the Caribbean to seek fame and fortune and is doing big works out there, and she's currently locked on. Big up to you, my sister. And I was in Barbados a couple years ago, and I went on a cultural tour of Barbados, and the tour guide took us to the oldest slave burial ground on the island, what they had uncovered. And we went to this slave burial ground, and whilst we was there, the tour guide was talking, and he said they uncovered, or they excavated, 500 bodies. Yeah, 500 bodies were on this site. He said, now check this, and Miss X, listen to this one, okay? The tour guide said all of the bodies were buried facing east, which was in keeping with their Islamic tradition and custom. And I looked at him, I said, what did you just say? He said, man, you never listened to what I said? He said, all of the bodies were buried facing east, which was in keeping with their Islamic customs and traditions. These were bodies that dated back to the 1600s in Barbados. And I said to him, so you're telling me that the people that lived in Barbados, our foreparents, were Muslims? He said, yes, of course they was Muslims. Depend on the region of Africa they came from, more than likely they was Muslims. So then we were practicing Islam in the West 300, 400 years ago. Can you believe that? African Muslims, yeah? And then through the slave process, we were broken down. As the people in the nation say, we were stripped of our name, our land, our language, our culture, our religion, our knowledge of self. That's what they say. When you hear these brothers like Louis Farrakhan talk this type of language, you think it's just like some sort of script what they reel off and it sounds really cool. Not realizing that behind all that, there is actually factual foundation. So when they broke you down from your Islamic standpoint, because they realized that the slaves, the ones that were really difficult, were the Muslims. They were the ones that were difficult. So they break you down, strip you of your culture. Remember, this is not Arab Islam. This isn't the Islam that you see where men are wearing dresses and flying airplanes into buildings and chopping off. No. Forget that. That's the Arabs. I'm not no Arab. I didn't come to Islam through the back door. I came to Islam through the black door. Knowledge of self is what got me to this point. So he said that the people them was Muslims in Barbados. In Jamaica, you have the Maroons. Maroon Town. There was a documentary on BBC a couple years back, and they went to Maroon Town. And the historian at Maroon Town said that the greeting, once you reach the gates of Maroon Town, the greeting as you enter Maroon Town was Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum salam. For those of us that are Muslims, we're very clear that's an Islamic greeting. For those of you who don't understand, it just means peace be upon you. So you got the Maroons in Jamaica who had an Islamic greeting, which meant therefore they must be connected somehow to Islam. In Barbados, 500 bodies uncovered at the oldest slave burial ground were buried facing east, which was in keeping with their Islamic tradition and their custom. So we weren't Arabs, we were Africans. And we dealt with a different form of Islam. They say that the Haitian Revolution, 1793 to 1804, the original protagonists were people like Macandal and Bookman. And they say, who is this man, Bookman? Bookman was the man of the book. As we say in Islam, Al-Kitab. It's very, very interesting. So there's a lot of work, a lot of research to be done. But obviously, why would we live in a system where it wants to show you the connection between black folk and Islam and Africans and Islam and West Indians. No. Best you make a program about some crazy Arabs going around and chopping off heads and doing some crazy stuff. Some, what they call it, FGM or something. Show some crazy stuff. Let's talk about the racism within Islam. Yeah, of course. Let's talk about racism in Islam. Yeah, perfect. Why not talk about all the junkies and the alcoholics, the winos that were cleaned up because of the word, coming from the Muslims of the West, not the Muslims from the East, because they don't understand the journey, which is why I talk about, the brother Bilal. Bilal was the slave who rose up through the ranks. So Bilal is taking a very unique journey. So here's us, the former slaves, taking a very unique journey. So we can go and do work amongst Somalian groups and all these different groups and the Pakistani groups, because they can't even talk to their own children. Why? Because their children are gravitating towards street culture. And they don't understand street culture because they know Arab culture. They know Pakistani culture, or what you call it, Blackistani culture. We who came out of the street culture know the street culture and the Muslim culture. And so their children gravitate towards us more than they gravitate to their own imams. So why is Islam so divided, my sister? It's divided because the man wants it to be divided. Divide and rule, divide and conquer. Simple as that. I know brothers that are Shiite and half their family is Sunni. And up until 15 years ago, Sunnis and Shiites had no argument. Obviously, they had disagreement, but they was intermarrying with each other. And then once this crazy Gulf War kicks off and America and Britain and whoever go into Iraq and start to blow the place up and kick off all kinds of, what they call sectarian violence, you now have problems between Shiites and Sunnis. There was, it wasn't like that. Yes, they had disagreements, but now it's gone crazy. ISIS kill more Shiites than anyone else. They claim to be Muslims. Remember, in the Quran it says, "O mankind, we made you in different tribes so that you would know each other and you would learn from each other." That's the first question. I hope that answered your question. Second question, Miss X asks, was in relation to gun and knife crime. This is an area where I do quite a bit of work and I break down a lot of the stuff here. Yeah, with the issue of gun and knife crime, personally speaking, and I was at an event a couple days ago over in, I think it was over in West London, where you had counsellors and top police officers and so-called community workers come out to talk about knife crime and young people. And I got up in this meeting and I said, look, how can you have a meeting talking about young people and knife crime and there's no young people in the meeting? Really simple. And I turned to the audience and I said, anyone under the age of 20, put your hand up. And one young woman put her hand up. I said, okay. Anyone under 25, put your hand up. I think 3 hands went up and that was it. And we're in some big hall and there's bare people there. So it's all these old people. And this is what I was saying to the brother when we was talking earlier on. You got all these old people talking about these situations. They're having a conversation about young people, but they're not having a conversation with young people. Very, very different. Very different. Very different. So people who don't even understand youth culture are talking about young people like they know about young people, and so I asked a question. I asked 2 questions at the meeting, and I said, why aren't there young people at the meeting? And the second question is that why are we trying to ignore the very obvious racial dynamics at work here, i.e. a lot of the young people that are at risk are Somalis. Yeah, young man got killed in Wormwood Scrubs about 3 weeks ago, got stabbed 9 times, Somalian. The 2 boys who got stabbed over in North London in midweek, Somalian. Yeah, disproportionate amounts of this taking place. And obviously when you look at the figures, it's more of a black problem, black young people, but white people of a certain age are also getting stabbed. So, to answer your question about the gun and knife crime, first thing, there's something called the rule of expectations. Yeah? Write this one down, research it, check it out for yourself. The rule of expectations. And what happens with the rule of expectations is that you basically, with your words, you create an environment which then proves what you said to be correct. There was an experiment carried out 100 years ago at a school in America, and the school had a problem with litter. Children were leaving, candy packets, sweet packets all over the school, and it was making the school look bad. So what the school did, they got some psychologists, because this was a time when you had psychologists that were really pushing the boundaries of human behavior. Yeah, what does it mean? And what they did was they put the children into two groups, and one group, they told these children that litter was a real problem, it was a real issue, and they really had to try harder with their behavior, and they really had to pick up the litter off the floor. And here's the school janitor, and his back's hurting him because he's always picking up your litter, and it's not good for the environment, it's not good for the school image. Stop throwing your litter on the floor, blah 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 blah. So the children understood, okay, we are the problem, and the problem is with our behavior. Very, very clear. That was the first group. Then the second group of children, they didn't talk about litter as a problem. They just told them how tidy they were, and if the other group in school could be as tidy as them, the school would be such a pleasant place. And then they called the janitor, and the janitor complained about how his back was hurting because he had to keep on picking up the litter that had been dropped by the other group. And if the other group were as tidy as this group, his back would be fine. Really, really simple. And after 2 weeks, the first group, Group A, that they said was the problem, they really tried hard to improve their performance, and for 2 weeks they got better, slightly. Then after 2 weeks, they became even more untidy. Done. The second group, Group B, that they said was the tidy group, and if the other groups could be like them, guess what happened to them? They became more tidy. Really simple. And they carried on getting tidy. Positive affirmations. You're the tidy group, you're much better than the other group, and you tell the other group you're bad and you got to try harder. Now, my question is that if this experiment was carried out 100 years ago, and so we understand the rule of expectation, so if you tell the group that they're untidy, guess what? They become untidy. If you tell a group of young people, your problem is that you're in gangs, your problem is that you're violent, your problem is with knife crime, guess what happens? They start carrying knives. It's not rocket science. And unfortunately for us as adults, for us as parents, where we're going wrong is that we start to join in that conversation about our children. So we create our children into being problems. Because I remember when I was 17 years old and I used to travel all over London. I travelled all over London as a youth. 17, I go West London, no problem. I go Brixton. I'm living in Peckham, Camberwell. I go Tottenham. I go Hackney. And I never ever thought about being at risk. It never crossed my mind. Pardon me. Not saying that stuff never went down, because obviously stuff was always going down, but I never felt at risk. I never felt like, I can't go to Tottenham because I'm not from Tottenham. I go to Tottenham and I tell man that I meet in Tottenham, like, yo, big man, I'm from South London. I'm trying to find Selby Street or Selby Road in Tottenham. Where's West Green Road? Blah, blah, blah. Where you from? No, I'm from South. Okay, see, yeah, come we show you. And then man take you and they show you where you want to get to. And everything's calm. No stress. And yeah, man was getting a little pressure. They're setting us up. Tell you straight. setting us up. Genesis Radio, People's Talk Show. You're on live. Who are you? Where you calling from?
You know something?
Tell me
Someone
something.
just sent me a WhatsApp. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the WhatsApp that they sent me was just talking about the slavery. But you see what you just spoke about?
Which one?
About the slavery in Barbados.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone just WhatsApped that to me.
Okay.
Exactly what you were saying. Yeah, everything what you were saying.
Seen.
So,
Yeah.
you know, you're not far off the point, are you?
Yeah, bruv, we don't make this stuff up, you know. We don't make it up, D-Roll. You know that. We don't make it up, man. We talk actual facts. Thank you. I beg you. That WhatsApp message, you need to share it. Share it with the people, then. Let them know.
Yeah, peace.
Yeah, peace. You done know. You see that? So that's what's going down. Man just phones in and says exactly what I just said about the slavery in Barbados and the people being Muslims. Man is sharing these messages on WhatsApp. Miss X, if you do the knowledge, the real knowledge, there's a book out there called Deeper Roots. Yeah, Deeper Roots. It looks at African Muslims in the Caribbean. Sorry. Yes, I got you. Genesis Radio, People's Talk Show. You're on live. Where you calling from? Go ahead.
I sent the text to you. It's about my Gmail address, and it's from BURCAK, so it's my name.
I look out for it, big boy. I look out for it. Yeah. Nice one.
Yeah, and everything that you're saying is exactly right. There is not good enough now psychologists. Now, there's not good enough social workers, there's not good enough sport planners. They're all cutting down on everything. I suppose they want everyone to feel in crime.
To be crazy. They want you crazy. They want you popping pills. Then they can control you. It's mad, brother. It's mad simple. It's not complicated.
I'm going to post a bit of this to them. I'm going to post a bit of this to every one of them.
Just be careful, mate. They'll come for you, brother. They'll come for you. Yeah, just keep the faith, baby. Keep the faith.
No. I mean the bit of the show, what they're saying, because it's a fact. Everyone's listening to this. People out there, silent listeners, are listening to this. So you're not saying anything that's bad. You're saying things within the law. And about the slavery thing, they were Muslims before in Barbados and everything. Now I started to know the truth from you, you know, and I'm learning more things about the Quran, about how respectful it is, and I'm going to speak more and more oftenly. Soon, I'm going to learn how to do my talking, but I'm going to chipmunk my voice, and I know how to do that. But unfortunately, I've got bad news for you. Google Drive is seemed to go.
All right.
From the it's starting to go. The app is gonna go.
All right.
So it's gonna be sad. Yeah.
All right. Do your thing. All right, B. Nice one, yeah. Bless. Brother Bird chatting. It's like coming back. Yeah. We don't make this stuff up, you know. You know that the crazy thing about it is, right, is that sometimes people think that you just up here just running your mouth for the sake of it. No. Anyone who knows me knows that Rashid love information. Like I read books, I watch documentaries. You know, my ex-wife got up, moved out, left the God. All cool. She said, all you do is watch documentaries. All you do is reading books. I'm like, rotted. Imagine that. You're a black man, you get criticized for seeking knowledge. It's deeper. Them say you must seek knowledge from the cradle to the grave. Yeah? Knowledge. Know the ledge. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. So this rule of expectation. Let's get back to the rule of expectation. Big up to D-Roll for backing up what we said about the slavery and the fact that the Africans that were put into bondage, they were Muslims. Yeah. So don't be running from who you were originally. And when you start to do the research, when you look at what Elijah Muhammad was saying all them years ago, people said Elijah was silly. And now it's all coming to pass. Look at even the other day when they put out that image of the first Brit, what they call him, the Cheddar Man, 10,000 years ago. The man was black in England. Black man. I was like, yeah, boom. Let me fire off a little tweet to them people in the EDL and the BMP. Like, yo, big up to the first Brit, a black man. Now what are you going to do? Huh? What are you going to do now? If you racist, be racist. It's cool. I ain't got a problem with you. But make your racism stand on some kind of foundation. Don't be talking about, we're going to keep Britain white when the first Brits were black people. And this isn't me talking. This is the scientists talking. They've done the testing, the DNA testing. But hold on a sec. This is something that Elijah Muhammad was saying 60 years ago, 70 years ago, 80 years ago. Wow. That's what I said. Keep the faith, baby. Keep the faith. Keep the faith. Telling you. Don't get it twisted. When you see this film come out, this Black Panther film, and they got Negroes running up and down the street, putting on costumes and, having Wakanda parties and whatever, just stand back. Just stand back. Take a step back and take a deep breath and say, okay, we're having a nice time. Remember, Black Panther is a comic character. I used to read comics. Yeah, I used to go to a comic shop down by Goldsmiths College down there, by the little one-way system. It was called Weird Fantasy. I'm sure that's what it was called. There's a comic shop, and I used to go there as a youth. Jump on a 36, come down from Camberwell side, go down there, woof, go pick up my little comics. And then when I was going Peckham Manor, I said show a couple of the man them, the little shops that we go there and we buy little comics. Yeah, we was 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, 14 years old into the comics, right? Then what happens is you get to a certain age and then, the comics is part of your childhood. And you grow on and you move, and you realize, these superheroes, they're not real. They're books, you know what I mean? They're like comic books. It's not real, you know what I'm saying? And you move on and you understand that, if anyone's going to solve your problem, it's going to be you. No amount of praying to a mystery God is going to solve your problem. Batman ain't going to come and solve your problem. Superman ain't going to solve your problem. T'Challa ain't going to come and solve your problem. It's not happening. You got to get up and take the action. So you get to about 20-something and comics is no longer part of your life. Now as a big man, I don't really read comics again. You know what I'm saying? It's not really my thing, but I understand the psychology. But when I see grown-ass black people putting on costumes and then going to some film show. Remember, it's dark in the film show, It's not even like you're on a catwalk. It's a darkness. And you're going in there dressed up in a costume to watch a film. I'm like, yo, these Negroes, they got you in it. They got you. The man's operating at such a level that you don't even realize that you've been had. That this is me. I'm just sounding off on this one, okay? Now you check it. You check it. You really check it. You got a Hollywood film. Hollywood has spent the last 100 years demeaning black people. 100 years of running out all kinds of stereotypes on black people. So from Birth of a Nation, W.D. Griffiths, when it had the black people as being savages and, trying to rape white women and doing all kinds of stuff. Go back and watch the film, W.D. Griffiths, Birth of a Nation. That film, Birth of a Nation, was used by the KKK as a recruitment drive. And membership of the KKK went sky high because of a film. They went out there and lynched black people. Birth of a Nation. Then in the 1930s, you had your little, your Amos and Andy type films when, the idea of this bug-eyed black man, the Stephen Fetchit type characters. Yeah? Pardon me. Man, I need a drink. Management, get me a drink. Damn. You go into the 1960s. Guess who's coming to dinner? 1970s, Superfly, Shaft. Right through. All they do is demean us. And a brother phoned me the other day and he said, think about it, Rash. this film couldn't have got made 20 years ago, 25 years ago. I said, why is that? He said, because we had the Million Man March in Washington. We had conscious hip hop. We had a sense of militancy in black people. They could make this film. He said they make this film now because they realize how much black people have been broken down. So we've been broken down to the point where we don't even function anymore. We ain't got a pot to piss in, excuse my language. Like I said, the other day, I was going through down by Lewisham there. I see Lewisham Way Community Centre. Lock up. This is a place where the Black Fathers group used to have their meeting. A bag of black men sitting down there talking, conscious talk, talking. And when I said to them, yo, you need to start getting into the politics of what's going on in your area, that man looked at me like I tried to sell him a pound of crack. They was like, what are you talking about? We don't vote. And there was big man in there. I'm not calling their names. I'm just saying that there was big man in there. And I said to them at this meeting, I said, I made a film called Why Don't Black People Vote? Maybe you should organize a screening of your film and have a discussion afterwards. I even gave them a copy of the film. That man just looked at me like, yeah, what? I was like, okay, no problem. Is the building that you operate from, do you own this building? No. Who owns the building? The council owned the building. So when the council decide that they're going to shut the building and turf you lot out, what are you going to do? And lo and behold, man get turfed out. Building's locked up. And they'll sell that building to some developers who turn it into 4 flats, and some yuppies will go and buy it, and the building's worth, a couple mil, and you think, rah, that was a community centre. Now there's no community centre. So where's our youths going? They're on road. Street culture. And the mad thing is, with street culture ain't even controlled by the streets. It's a game. I did a session the other day, lo and behold, with a group of Somali men. Young Somalis. So Miss X, Somalis do appreciate the West Indians. Trust me. They not all of them are like that. The ones you might have, and you find ignorant people all over the place. I got people in my family who don't like Jamaicans. I got Jamaicans who don't like Bajans. So you know what I'm saying? It's all over the place. I sat down there with a group of young men. I said to them, put your hand up if you own anything made by Nike. Sneakers, sweatshirt, rucksack, whatever. Every single hand in the room went up. They all owned Nike products. They was all wearing Nike products. I said, okay, perfect. I said, put your hand up if you own shares in Nike. All the hands went down. I said, okay, you're being played. They all started laughing. I said, you're being played. You're being played. And you don't even realize you're being played. And so you'd have thought that the so-called intelligentsia amongst us would at least be ahead of the curve to the point where we can see beyond the end of our own nose. But what you realize is that we're so wrapped up in our own hype that we don't want to hear people when people come bearing certain messages because it upsets our narrative. Who's this Rashid Nix come down here to tell us about voting? Do you know who we are? We've been here for this amount of years, rude boy. We don't need you. Okay. They close the building and dash you out. That's the reality. That's the reality. Anyway, we are getting into the final hurdle, the final section of this People's Talk Show. Rashid Nix up inside the studio. Couple shots. So yes, a gun and knife crime, Miss X. The issue is something that is, I'm not saying it's not real, but the way we are handling the issue is we're handling it completely wrong. We're so caught up in it that we're creating the issue. We're making it bigger than what it is. I lived in New York City 1989, and between 1988 and 1991, Brooklyn, one borough in New York City, had 3,000 murders. 1,000 murders a year in Brooklyn. Think about it. This is one borough. 1,000 murders in Brooklyn. Yeah? And I used to walk the streets of Brooklyn all hours of the day. And I never felt that I was at risk. I go to Prospect Park at night. I smoke my weed in the park. I'd hang out on the corner with the boys them. I'd go and see Lincoln who sold flipping crack out of his van, and we'd drink Dragon Stout. I'd hang out with this one. I'd hang out with Hayden. Hayden plays guitar on East 21st Street. I know Brooklyn. I travel and go and check my cousins out in Jamaica, Queens. I know New York City. And I never walk street feeling like, rah, I'm going to get capped. Or I'm going to get... And there was 1,000 murders out there. But over here, the way we announce these stories and the way we keep pushing the issue, it becomes the only issue on the block for us as black people. There's an issue of the a copy of the Evening Standard, and I use this to illustrate what I'm saying. There's 1.5 million black people living in London. Black and mixed race. I hate the term mixed race because there's only one race, but you know what I'm saying? Yeah? 1.5 mil. That means that there's 750,000 male and 750,000 female. 750,000. Yeah? 1.5 mil total. One issue of the Evening Standard, 76 pages, newspaper covers the whole of London, had 4 stories in 76 pages featuring black people, black men. Pardon me. Out of those 4 stories, 3 of the stories was knife crime stories, and one of them was gun crime story, and that was it. 1.5 million black people in London. We get 4 stories, 3 are knife crime, 1 is gun crime, and that's it. So you're trying to tell me that the other 1.5 million black people didn't do a damn thing for the whole week? We didn't do anything at all. There was nothing that we done of note. No one had a workshop. No one gave a public talk. There's no press conference to announce, flipping Fred invented a new jerk chicken sauce. Nothing at all. No good news. So imagine if you put in that type of information out there, then what it does is that it creates the air of expectation. So black people end up fearing black people. And then white people fear black people. And then before you know it, we go from a generation of black folk that was my age group that never liked the police and never trusted the police. And if the police stop you, man, gather around and say, no, leave him, let him go. Blah, 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 blah. We've gone from that to now having a generation where we're running to the police to save us from our own black people. Yo, you're dealing with the master of psychology here. Like I said, the rule of expectation, that experiment was carried out 100 years ago. You tell the children that they're the problem, they become the problem. You tell the children that they're good and they're clean and they're tidy, lo and behold, they become clean and tidy. Send your child to Eton, they won't send an ex-gang member into the school to talk to your children. Send your child to Eton, they won't send someone that had been the victim of knife crime into the school to talk about knife crime. Nah, they'll have the CEO of Air Asia, who's worth 500 million. He'll go and do an assembly and tell you how to become successful. But in our schools, we get ex-gang members, we get victims of knife crime, we get police officers down there, and that's it. And then we wonder why the children are acting the way they act. It's a setup. It's all a setup. Anyway, let me check some of these messages. We got a bag of them. 07931276232 People's Talk Show, Genesis Radio. Let's go. Okay, missed call from 048. Let me see. We got 3669 says tune in radio crispy and you're sounding good to go. Thank you, 3669. That's a blessing. 4242. What's that? That's culture wisdom. It says he can call solidarity in a crisis. Bird chat. This is for you, my man. This is for you. See, this is what community stations are all about. It's all about spreading information. The number is bird chat is 0300 123 1922. Bird chat, I tell you again, 0300 123 1922. That's the number. Okay, there you go. You can call solidarity in a crisis. There you go. Bird chat, that's for you, and that's for any of the other callers that are going through that little mental health paradigm, because that is the one that they're catching us right now, man. Gmail address, Bird Chat, we got ya on that one there. 9172. Let me see. 9172 says, brother, what is a awake brother like yourself doing supporting a racist religion that cut off our heads in Saudi Arabs and treat us like slaves in Libya? Please don't try to get angry. Just so strange. Also, Louis Farrakhan is a 33-degree Mason. Why are you following this person? He was caught in a picture with Kim Kardashian and Mr. West. This is the person that talked against interracial in his lectures. He was also involved in Malcolm X's murder and Khalid. You know this, but you still blindly follow him anyway. Have a good day. Somali have got their own culture. You're wasting time. 9172, thank you for the message. I must say I disagree with a bit of what you say. Number one, I'm not an awake brother, so please don't start using terms and labels to classify me, because I'm not awake, brother. I'm just a man who's just trying to keep himself lively. What am I doing supporting a racist religion and a cult that cut off our heads in Saudi Arabs? Yeah, Saudi cut off people's heads. Saudis are crazy. They are batshit crazy. I'm telling you. I'm not angry. It's just the reality. It's what it is. The Saudis jump into bed with the Brits, who then turn around and they abuse other Arabs, and the Saudis turn a blind eye. You know, Britain sells billions of pounds of arms to the Saudis, to the Arabs, and they then turn around and they use those arms to oppress other Muslims. It just shows you how crazy the religion is and how crazy the people are who claim to be following that. But remember, there's 1.7 billion Muslims on the face of this planet. So, you know, you go to places like Liberia, Sierra Leone, Gambia. These are Muslim countries. People are calm and they African. You know what I'm saying? They calm and they African. And I don't have a problem with them. Me, I'm not going to Saudi Arabia for no holiday because I know my place. Anyway, Louis Farrakhan is a 33-degree Mason. This conversation about black people and Masonry, we got to understand certain things about Masonry and what Masonry represents, you know. And this is another conversation for another show. But what I will say is that the black Masons in the West came out of a branch of Masonry called the Prince Hall Masons. Prince Hall came from Barbados. There you have it. Little tiny island. One dude, Prince Hall. And all the black Masonic lodges in the West all come from Prince Hall's Masonic Lodge. There's people in my family that deal with the Mason team. And if you go to the Caribbean, it's right across the board. It's called the Lodge. That's what they call it. And our problem, how do you think black man came to this country in the 1950s and 1960s and bought yards? They had to have a system in place which allowed them to practice some kind of, you know, collective economics, because the banks wasn't giving out no loans. So you was part of a lodge and you supported each other as lodge members. Now, where we gone wrong is that we completely broken down in terms of the lodge. There's nothing there, so no man trusts no man. Look at all them buildings that we had back in the day as black folk, from places like, I don't know, social clubs and dominoes clubs and community centers, and these, when the local authorities took us seriously, the people that were stepping up to the plate and doing the bidding on behalf of us, they were more than likely lodge members. Now all of a sudden we're supposed to dash away something that actually got us somewhere. So caller or texter, what's the alternative? What are you going to step up with? What are you going to build? What are you going to offer? My great uncle out in Canada, his name was Don Moore, Uncle Don. These men was lodge man and they was Garveyites, and they changed the whole of the Canadian system so people from the Caribbean can now go and settle in Canada. They was lodge man. What, you going to go and fight them down as well? Huh? You're going to fight down Duke Ellington, who's a lodge man. You're going to fight down Martin Luther King, lodge man. Justice Thurgood Marshall, lodge man. It's a whole system. Yeah, it's a whole system. So me, I got nothing against Farrakhan, and I do not blindly follow Farrakhan. I don't blindly follow anybody. That's a bit insulting, because in the end of the day, me, I know and I can separate the good stuff from the junk. Feel me? And this thing about Malcolm's murder, Malcolm needs to understand, you Malcolm followers, because you put Malcolm on a level like Malcolm's, the most purest, most sensitive person. You have to understand that you read about Malcolm in books, and you might see a little YouTube clip. My sheikh, my personal sheikh, Sheikh Omar Ahmed, was one of the people that was with Malcolm. He was one of Malcolm's men. He was Malcolm's friend. My sheikh showed me the photographs of him and Malcolm. You understand? And the way Malcolm was acting towards the end, like 1963, when Kennedy got assassinated, Elijah Muhammad was very clear. He said, don't talk about the president. I forbid all my ministers, don't mention this thing. The man's just been assassinated. Don't talk about it. And what does Malcolm do? Malcolm runs his mouth. What you don't talk about with the Malcolm business is that the amount of black men that was in jail, the amount of Muslims that was locked up, and the prison guards, the prison officers, was Irish Americans. So Kennedy was their boy. And when Malcolm made those comments, them brothers that was in jail was getting their ass whooped on a regular basis by them prison guards, because Malcolm ran his mouth. Malcolm was reckless. How can you go and start talking about a next man's personal affairs? Imagine me come on radio and I start talking about someone's business. This man have this amount of baby mother. If that man then turn around and is like, yo, Rash, you know you done, innit? Big man, boy, but why are you talking my business for? And Malcolm went public. The same mass media, the same reporters that Elijah Muhammad said, you don't talk to these people, Malcolm. They don't have your interests at heart. Don't get wrapped up in the media, Malcolm. He told him again and again and again and again. And even Malcolm started one of his speeches. He said that we shouldn't talk our personal business in public. Malcolm said that. And then Malcolm does a 180 and then talks about the man who educated him, talks about his personal business in public, goes to reporters. That is reckless. That's reckless. And if you want to defend reckless behavior, then defend reckless behavior. That's cool. But don't be putting Malcolm on a pedestal like Malcolm was without fault. Because Malcolm, at crucial times, exercised bad judgment. And it cost him his life. Absolutely. Yeah, I said it. Rashid Nix said it. That's right. And all them brothers that love Malcolm are probably going to be pissed off with me for saying it. But Malcolm ran his mouth and he paid the price for running his mouth. I went to the Schomburg Museum in Harlem a couple years back. They had an exhibition of all Malcolm's personal artifacts. There was a letter in a glass case from Elijah Muhammad dated August 1963. Elijah Muhammad says to Malcolm, "Dear Minister Malcolm, you're doing fantastic work on behalf of the nation. Two things, however. Number one, do not talk about the president. Because if you talk about the president, it becomes personal. And the president is very popular and he's charismatic. So don't make it personal. Don't talk about the president. You talk about the government. Talk about the institution. Okay? That was the first thing. And the second thing was spend more time with your family. Because your family is the foundation. Apart from that, keep the good work. Messenger of Allah, Elijah Muhammad, August 1963. August, September, October, November. Kennedy gets shot, assassinated. Elijah gives the order to all of his members, do not say a word about the minister, about Kennedy getting shot. Don't speak about it. Don't talk on it. Everyone knew you don't talk about it because the minister was going to issue a statement. Malcolm does his speech, and then a reporter or reporters ask him. Then he starts talking about the chickens come home to roost, and I don't get sad, I get glad, and I'm an old farm boy. And they said that I think it was Captain Joseph was there, and when Captain Joseph saw him and heard him, Captain Joseph was like, "What?" Captain Joseph's head nearly exploded. Like, brother, you're not supposed to say anything about this thing. And so the next day it comes in the paper, front page, Muslims celebrate death of Kennedy. Ba, 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 ba. Why would you do that? Like, really? And why would you as a caller send a message like that without doing your research? Malcolm messed up. Minister said stay home, spend more time with your family. Malcolm's there skipping all around the world. Leaves Betty Shabazz with how much children? And Malcolm's out there trying to solve the problems. Maybe, just maybe, brothers like Malcolm was sent as examples for us to learn how not to live. Maybe it's all about going and dealing with our families and raising our children and coming home and sitting down with our sons at 9 o'clock and reading a bedtime story and wake up in the morning and give them some breakfast and send them to school. Maybe that's what it's about. Maybe it's not about trying to go and circumnavigate the 196,140,000 square miles of planet Earth and trying to be seen and heard everywhere. Maybe it's just about dealing with your family. And if we dealt with our families on a deeper level with culture, then maybe we wouldn't get all excited about some bloody film of some place called Wakanda and some little superhero and we're all going crazy over it. Because in reality, us as the fathers, we're the original superheroes for our children. You feel me? It's simple. But if we grow up in dysfunctional families where there's no strong male presence, then we're going to get buck wild over a film. And the women will go crazy over these dudes with these muscles who are kings and this and that because we're not playing our part as black men. So I understand that psychology, man. Come on, man. You're talking to me. You're talking to Rashid Nix, man. Righteous action should help individuals develop. Come on. Anyway. Okay, 172 has popped back again. He says, a person involved in Mason lifestyle is part of the Jewish elite's world order and not to be trusted. Okay, 172, like I said, give us an alternative. Give us an alternative. If there's no alternative, then as the youth say, you're just gassing. You're just shooting hot air. Another caller, 883. 883 says, I hate the term mixed race. Try dual heritage. Just a thought. Okay, I hear you. I hear that. Dual heritage. Anyway, People's Talk Show, Rashid Nix. Is about that time. We're winding it right down nice and neatly. Let me see if my interviews will play. Let's see what happens. Oh dear. It's all good, huh? 07931276232. People's Talk Show, Rashid Nix. We've got 19 minutes past the hour, 5 o'clock. And yeah, it's all cool down here, man. Look what you done. You done got me running my mouth. Anyway, let's see. What have we got? Interview wise, what have we got? Here's one. I'm gonna play this one from Miss X. Let me really piss some people off today. Excuse my language, Miss X. Let me see if this thing plays. Hold on. Say that again. Okay. I got a Somalian woman right here telling me that she grew up with West Indies and she loved West Indies. What?
I do. I'm not gonna lie. I grew up with West Indies. I love the jerk chicken.
Can you make
fish?
Jerk chicken?
No, I can't. I can actually if I try, but I've never tried.
Yeah.
My sister-in-law loves to make it all the time. But and the dumpling, saltfish dumplings, the best. I'm not gonna lie. Goat's meat sauce with the.
You mean rice, curry? You mean curry goat?
Yeah, curry goat. That's it. With rice and peas. But it's goat meat's Goat meat sauce.
You can't say goat meat, because if you say goat meat, then that just reveals the fact that you're not part of the order. You got to say curry goat.
Okay, curry goat.
Say
then,
curry
and the
goat, say curry
plantain.
goat.
So
Okay.
yeah, I love, and I don't think Caribbean people are mad. As Rashid's saying, they're not.
I'm only one here. What's your name, sister?
My name is Sophia.
Sophia. Salam alaikum, my sister. How you doing?
Salam, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. And who's the beautiful sister over in the corner there, trying to avoid being part of this interview? Come over, my sister. Come over. Come.
Sister Sadia.
Sadia, you can't be shouting across the. Come, bring your chair.
Forward.
Bring your chair. Bring your chair close. Bring your chair close.
I was shocked.
Right. Oh, whoa. Easy. Hold on. Let me get this mic level right. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Okay, so we had a text from a young lady that was talking about the fact that there's all this racism between Somalians and West Indians, and I said, well, I don't really see that as being the case. And like I said, this week I was with my Somalian crew and we did an interview. So this is a few seconds. I'll play this probably next time I come back. But just letting you know that, don't believe the hype on this stuff. They want us to believe that we're all divided. They want us to believe that our differences outweigh our similarities. And that's the game. That's how you maintain control. If you go and read a book called The Prince by Machiavelli, it tells you how to maintain control in your principality, and you divide and you conquer. So you create divisions where there's no divisions. 15 years ago, they had a huge demonstration, Stop the War in London, and all the groups came out. Muslims, Christians, atheists, socialists, capitalists, black, white, male, female, young, old, gay, straight, bisexual, trisexual, whatever. People came out unified. No one cared about each other's religion or lifestyle. What we cared about was we didn't want to have a illegal war. And I think personally, when people recognized the powers that be, when they saw how people power could come together, they spent the next 15 years creating division amongst the people. So, Miss X, seek and you shall find. No, it's cool. We're recording. She was shocked. Sophia was shocked. I don't know who shocked Sophia, but she was shocked.
That you said you've got 5 kids and they're all grown up. Mashallah. You've got 7.
Yes.
How many?
I've got 7 kids.
7?
Wow.
Yes.
7 children?
And the youngest is
7 years old.
Wow.
7 is a beautiful age, though, right?
Thank
Yeah. Okay, well, one of the things about our communities is that, and what we're starting to realize more and more, is that they have us operating as separate communities within the whole context of London, or this could be anywhere in the world. They have us in our own separate communities, and so we end up starting to believe all this misinformation about each other, and so we have all these what they call stereotypes. So when, as Muslims, as people, we can sit down together and we can reason about stuff,
We could certainly talk to each other.
Absolutely,
so
right?
There's no differences between the one from Africa. And Africa's different. You've got the Zimbabwe, the Nigeria, the Mali, the Moroccans, Egyptians. You've got the South Africans. You've got the Somalis, the Kenyans, Ethiopians.
Yes.
But if you put them all in one room, I tell you now, there's not one single difference between them. Just the language.
Okay, I hear that. So,
and the religion.
That being the case, today, let's talk about today's session today. Yeah. And for the benefit of the listeners who would like to know what today's session is all about, my sister, would you like to explain, or would you like to explain?
I'll explain.
Go ahead.
Because I work for a charity called Mother and Child Welfare Organisation that helps mothers with kids in the prison system. We did a workshop in Women's Scrubs, White City. We had 11 individuals who took part, 11 inmates, or should we call them inmates, Young men. Who took part in this workshop. Yeah, and I think it was.
What was the purpose of the workshop? Because one of the things that you always hear about, via the mainstream, they say, oh, people being radicalized whilst in prison, and so here's a group of Muslim sisters going into prison, which has a large Muslim population. For what I understand, 1/3 of the inmates in Wormwood Scrub are Muslims, and so like I said, the narrative that we're picking up is that people become radicalized by these imams in jail and blah blah blah. Now I'm sitting down here drinking coffee with two beautiful sisters, and you went into the prisons. Yep. So obviously you wasn't going there to radicalize anybody. So can you please explain, for the benefit of those people who carry them idiot stereotypes with them, what was the purpose of your workshop?
The purpose of the workshop is to see how life is in prison, how the inmates are coping, what's the needs that they need in the situation they're in today, what would help them to move forward. And when they do come out, hopefully one day, how we can prevent them to go back in that same cycle.
Mm-hmm. But also the purpose today was to kind of go and listen to the young men who were in there following the incident where one of the inmates was killed inside the prison, and hear if there are any kind of emotion or talk or anything that they would wish to express with us, so to understand and to show that the community is there for them. So it was a solidarity with the parents, because we are parents. Some of us, I mean, Sophia is not a parent, but I am a parent, so it's kind of to show the youngsters who are there that their parents are out there thinking about them, worried about them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, now I hear that. Yeah, you mentioned about the young man who got murdered in Wormwood Scrubs recently, and yeah, he was a young Somalian boy, right?
Yes.
And from what I understand, he received multiple stab wounds.
Yes.
Yeah, and I believe that some people have been charged, and they're also Muslims who have been charged with the killing. That's what
I really don't know enough about the background of the people who were involved, but it's a sad thing. I mean, you'd think that prison is the safest place. You don't think that knives and weapons would get into prison and you would die inside prison. I'm sure it's a scary thought for those who have experienced and witnessed that to take place inside the prison. I think it will take a long time of rehabilitation and healing for them to recover from them. But
okay, no, I hear it. I think it's a beautiful thing that organizations such as your own that you're working with exist, because you're doing some very, very powerful work. Because I've heard about the stuff that you do, and I'm very impressed. What was your feedback from the young men of from today?
Before I go on to the feedback, I must congratulate you. I mean,
no, please.
I feel like it was really great to have you there today, to go down to their level, talk to them in their own language, the language which we sometimes some of the Somali parents find it kind of a totally unknown, and that we wouldn't be able to understand, and they kind of felt connected and they could relate to you, and it showed that they were all engaged. Even those who didn't talk were engaged.
Okay.
So my feedback was that it was all positive. That the Imam told us that if we could make it to visit them even on a weekly basis, that he can make arrangements. He can understand that we may have commitments and we may not be able to do that, but he did express that the group that we saw were from one group, and that that he says in order to see and meet the other groups.
Kadra, where you going? Grab Sophia and come quick. Okay. Yeah, both of you. Yeah.
Yeah, he was told by the young people that we saw today that they were very happy that we went. We went to see them.
Excellent. And so, Sophia, from today, you know, your impressions of today, and what was it that made the organisation? Is it called Mother and Baby? Mother and Child.
Yes,
So
1 2 1 2. So you know, I'm not gonna go too much into that one. Just letting you know what's going down. That the work is taking place. West Indians are working with Somalians. Somalians are meeting with Muslims. Are meeting with Christians. It might not make the 9 o'clock news or the 10 o'clock news or whatever news you listen to, but the stuff is happening on the ground. It's going down. So Miss X, I hope that kind of gives you a bit of an idea, and end of the day, what I would say is that there's not much difference between a Somalian mother and a West Indian mother and a white English mother and a Christian mother and a Turkish mother. What do they want? They want to see their children or their child grow safely in an environment and succeed. Our similarities are really, really, really interesting. Our similarities is what we need to kind of, get caught up on, not our differences. Yeah, is that cool? Okie dokie. Right. So where we at? We have got 33 minutes past 33. Wow, it's Freemason's number. Rashid set the time at 33 minutes past 5. That means that Rashid must be a 33 and a 5th degree Mason. I'm telling you, man, we need to get out of some of this this conspiracy talk, man. I'm telling you, it's not doing nothing for us. It's not working for us. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. What's going on with this thing here, man? Why is this acting like this? 1 2. Okay, that's more like it. Right. We got another text, 172. Number 2 says, 172 says, he says, Rashid, what are your thoughts, or even my thoughts, on the Black Panther movie? We just made the producers of that movie 250 million. You heard, right? Private call. I'm assuming that this private call is coming from Madam X. Genesis Radio, People's Talk Show, good afternoon. Madam X, I'm assuming it's you, right?
Okay. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Who's this?
It's X.
Oh, X, you're back again. How you doing? I knew it was you.
Oh, okay.
I could feel the vibe. I knew it was you.
Oh, okay.
How you doing?
Alhamdulillah.
Wow. So you're Muslim?
Alhamdulillah. Shukran.
All right, my sister. So how can we help you? We got about 25 minutes left of the show. Go ahead.
Just to say that I was listening to the Somali organisation.
Yes.
And it's very interesting, and your show's very interesting as well. So I give thanks.
So my sister, thank you for the call. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay then. Jazakallah khair.
Okay. Salam alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wow. Genesis Radio. That's how we go. This is the number 1 Black Power radio station, community station, taking the veil off. We have got 25 minutes to the top of the hour, 6 o'clock. I'm going to be out of here like I done teeth something. We try and we put it out there
and however much it comes back is however it comes back. So where was we? We was at 172. 172 says, what are my thoughts on the Black Panther movie? We just made the producers of that movie 250 million. Not we, me. I'm not in it. I'm waiting for the Chinese DVD to come out, man. I'm supporting my chiggers. I'm supporting my chiggers. Yeah, them Chinese chiggers. That's why I'm 5 for 10. Or my little yard man up there in Brixton who goes round and he might give you 6 for 10. You know, as long as it ain't got the little dodgy ones where you got the people walking in front of the camera and the camera twists to one side. Them ones there. You know, my son was in school the other day and he exposed me. You know, he's there and he's telling his teacher, "Yeah, my dad got some funny DVD," and the people was walking past the camera. He said, "Dad bought this cheap DVD from this man in Brixton. My dad's so cheap," and he exposed me to the teacher. I said, "When you get home, I'm gonna whoop you." And my man's like, "Dad, you never beat me, Dad. You only talk to me, Dad." And we just laughed about it. But yeah, I ain't buying it. Spending no hard-earned money to go in there for no movie. You crazy, man? You crazy? All right, so check this one. This was 172. 172, right? This is something I'm working. This is an article I'll be writing for the Voice newspaper. I'm just scratching it through, right? It's called a hyper forgetfulness. 172. This is me and you talking here. Am I the only person to have not seen the Black Panther film? Me and I think Madam X. Yeah. Black folk have gone Wakanda crazy. Men are coming to me to ask me, "Have you seen it? Have you seen it? You must go and see it. You must go and see it." They're organising Black Panther parties. They're organising Black Panther fancy dress costume, the whole 9 yards. You know, the other day I tweeted a picture of a plate of corned beef and rice that I made, and I said, "This is obviously Wakanda's national dish." Yes, corned beef and rice, obviously. Yeah, but think about it. You got the Black Panther, the mythical figure, fiction. And you got the Black Panthers, who are real, who were destroyed by the system. Yeah. So we got people that's putting out articles, blogs, tweets, WhatsApp, Facebook, social media has gone overload. Intelligent, so-called conscious, woke black folk have lost their collective minds. Never have I seen such an outpouring of Kool-Aid since Jim Jones took them people to Jonestown in Guyana back in like 1980 and had about 1,000 black people drinking some poison Kool-Aid and killed them all. Now here's the madness about this thing. Yeah, this is why I don't believe in it. This is why I don't trust it. Because at the same time everyone went Black Panther crazy, it coincided with the Oxfam Haitian sex abuse scandal going public. Think about it. You got Oxfam, which is a UK government-funded agency, living out. You got the workers living out a dystopian sexual fantasy on the back of the first black independent colony in the Western Hemisphere. So when we're talking about Wakanda, this fictional place that had never been conquered and colonized, let's talk about Haiti, a place that was colonized and then won its independence through straight up and down 13 years of warfare. Yeah? Let's be real. That we as black folk in the West coming from the Caribbean owe our freedom, the ending of slavery, to those brothers and sisters who laid it down in Haiti. Haitian independence came 1804, 1805. The British abolished the slave trade. Why did they abolish the slave trade in 1805? Because they realized that France wanted to rebuild colonies and they would need slave labor. So therefore Britain passed an act of parliament that outlawed the slave trade, which meant that anytime they saw a French ship with slaves on it, they could impound the ship. It wasn't about they had this awakening and they wanted to be brothers with black people. No, they wanted to control the French. So that's why they abolished the slave trade. Simple. On the back of Haiti. That's all it was. Yeah? So think about this. 200 years ago, thousands of slaves or Africans, they fought like superheroes. When you read about people like Dessalines and Christophe and Toussaint Louverture and the grannies who got involved and the Obia people who got involved, they were superheroes. And they defeated the top European Western nation of the time, which was France. France and Britain were the top European superpowers. Imagine today's equivalent would be like, I know, Russia having a war against Nigeria and losing. It's like, what? You know what I'm saying? You can't comprehend it. That Haitian African slaves could defeat France, who were under the role of Napoleon. You can't imagine it. But it's actual facts. History. Real. Forget Wakanda. Let's talk Haiti. Let's talk Haitian Wakanda. Yeah? So here we go. Haiti was the jewel in the crown for the French Empire. And Haiti was enviously viewed by the Brits and the Spanish. Haiti produced more produce at a higher quality than any other colony on the face of the planet. This was vibranium back in the day. And to know that our tax pounds and your donations are funding an organization that employs sexual predators who operate under the guise of aid workers is very, very disturbing on so many levels. But what's even more disturbing is that we can't even seem to be able to really have any outrage at what has been happening. Why? Because of our collective distraction about a film called Black Panther, a Hollywood film about some people dressed up in costumes doing whatever they do. Remember, it's a Hollywood film, people. Don't get it twisted. There's no point in getting excited about having a black cast. I remember 8 years ago, I was in the United States and we got a black president. It didn't stop the police from shooting black men and choking black men out and people putting up on Facebook and YouTube and whatever. And you couldn't get one single indictment of a police officer, and you had a black president and a black attorney general, and the police became more overtly racist under the black leadership. This is a film, so what's this really going to change? So if it doesn't have any impact upon society, what will have an impact? Yeah? Think about it. Barack gets elected in 2008. How many black people stepped up to rep politically, either in the United Kingdom or in the United States? Barack spoke about change that you can believe in. But one of the first things that Barack did when he came into office was that he cut the funding to the historically black colleges and universities. And for 8 years, he starved them of funding. Then in the couple months before he left, he gave them the funding back. Smoke and mirrors. Black Panther, smoke and mirrors. So imagine that Black Lives Matter was the biggest social movement to come out, and that was under Barack Obama. That wasn't under Donald Trump, you know. So I still haven't seen Black Panther, and I'll definitely wait for the bootleg DVD to come out, unless my son and my niece bother me and say, "Daddy, take us to see the film." Then I might do it. Yeah. I went to one Black Panther themed party in Brixton on the day it opened at the Ritzy, and they had a DJ playing music upstairs. Everyone dressed up in their cultural wear. Even my ex-wife, who used to criticize me for always being on this black tee, she dressed up in her cultural wear. Me, I'm just down there in a pair of jeans and a pair of Clarks. And then when the DJ played Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud by James Brown, which was the national anthem for the Black Panther political group in the 1960s. He played that tune and the dance floor emptied. He cleared the floor. Sorry, caller. Let me just finish this one, caller, and then give me a call right back. He played the tune and the tune cleared the floor. Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud. The people at the Black Panther party stopped dancing and left. I'm like, okay, well, obviously these people ain't really into this thing. It's like a little dress up, a little celebration, and that's it. And at the same time, all this stuff was going down. People getting hype on Wakanda. Caller, bear with me. A lady called Mary Beard, a white academic from Cambridge, I believe, who's meant to have done so many bits of good work for black people. Mary Beard steps up and she tries to justify the predatory behavior of the aid workers in Haiti. She's entitled to her opinion, but if the aid workers were black and the victims were white, would it be the same response? That's me, Rashid Nix, talking my talk, saying my piece, People's Talk Show, Genesis Radio, twinned with Wakanda. We now have, to conclude, a very, very, very powerful message. In the play, I can feel a very fast Genesis Radio interview, up and coming. This is going live across the capital right about now. This will be on Sunday show. I'm sitting down here. I'm on the corner right here in the Green Man Skill Zone. I got my brother Jermaine, aka brother Hamza, aka my righteous Muslim brother. Good morning, miss. How you doing? From where you from? From Summerley, isn't it? From the TRA. Morning. Welcome. What's your name, miss? Sharon. Okay, that's very, very, very pretty young lady next to you. Who you, miss?
Yomi.
Yomi. And last but by no means least, we've got the big man right here.
Michael Gross.
On my right hand man.
Michael Gross.
Michael Gross. Okay.
My radio voice. Michael Gross.
Okay. So, very, very, very quick one. Very quick one. The man like Jermaine came into the spot, and Jermaine said he can see history being created right here, and twos, he knew that something was going down, and Michael Gross, you want to make a quick announcement to the people of Genesis Radio?
I just want to announce that this year, 2018, I've been asked and encouraged to run for council this year under the Green Party, and I've decided to take on the challenge. Carry on the work that's been done in the last 4 or 5 years in the Loughborough Junction already and the surrounding areas, but more importantly, it'd be an opportunity to see someone from our community get up there and work in the community, in amongst council, which would be a really amazing thing. So that's what I'm looking to do this year. One of the things I'm really going to try and highlight with everybody is I'm not a politician. That's not what I am. What I am is a doer. And I like to do things and get things done for the community. So that's what we're really all about this year. Because I've been finding in the last 4 or 5 years, the last election, I saw all the Labour councillors, right? Did you see them?
1, 2.
We saw them all, didn't we? They all came and spoke to us. They wanted our votes, and we gave them the votes. After that, could I get hold of my councillor? I can't get them hold of as easy as I really want to. And the ones I did get hold of, the ones that lived their head above the water to support whatever is doing in the community, got completely annihilated. And I mean someone like Rachel Haywood. So what I'm seeing is not a council that's really working properly for my community here, even though it's going through transition. So I want to be part of that.
That's the word, transition. Transition is the key word. Sharon from Summerley and TRA, because I know that you've now stepped up to the plate as well, and you're doing your thing. So very quickly, what was it that made you get involved in the Summerley community, doing the work on the political level, organising people?
Just saw that things needed changing and could bring some experience to help bring a group together to make some changes on the Moorlands estate. Simple as. For people who don't know, I mean, Moorlands estate, barrier block, that little spot down there has a certain reputation, but you come out of that community. I lived on the Guinness, which was behind you, so I'd go through there like 4 times a day. And all I saw was a community of black people that was just getting on and just doing their thing. Obviously, a couple of little bits of grime was happening, but that's anywhere in London. What would you say has been your major part of the learning process for you stepping up to do the TRA stuff? I've already had the experience. I just brought the experience from my previous estate, Mitesfield North, and just saw a lot of people with passion that wanted to make a difference just come up against some blocks. So when they had their election...
And when you say blocks, give us a couple. What kind of blocks?
People in the community not having faith in that things could be changed. Actually, individuals standing in their way as well. Didn't want any change to happen. They were very comfortable with what was going on. But there's people that wanted to make a difference, but they just didn't know how. And then to have somebody come along and said, I know how, and helping them last August to move forward. And we've done a lot in 6 months that hadn't been done on that estate in a very long time.
There was one of the things that I always remember going through that estate. Like I said, I live in Guinness, and I remember
going back. I don't know how many years you lived there. But I remember
2 years. I've not been there very long. Yeah, I'm a newbie.
New broom. Ah, okay, I get you now. Now it makes sense because I remember must have been, I don't know, early 2000 maybe, because that used to be a wild estate, and there was like a massive program of redeveloping the estate. But then one of the things that really struck me was that there was no lights. There was no lights on the estate. There was no lights on Summer Leighton Road. And it was like that for years. And all the crack dealers could go and do their madness. And you're like, how comes there's no lights on this estate? And it wasn't like 6 months. It was years. There was no lights. And you could be walking and you're tripping a pothole and all kind. And I was like, rah, they got these people around here moist. So what made you step up?
It was actually seeing people. When I first moved onto the estate, it was the beginning of the 2 years reign of the past TRA. But I actually met people who had campaigned to have the lights put on and to do stuff. And it was just basically talking to them and their passion. But I was there for my own issues. My son's got mental health, so I just moved. Just didn't want to get involved in anything, but I could see at the end of the day that by talking to people, they really did want to make a change. So, and again, all they needed was just the tools, information, and when it was time, just, hey. But I got to know them first, which was the key thing, just actually talking to them, having that relationship, see what they was all about, and then to hear how much they did to get those lights in there and stuff. And they are part of the TRA as well. There wouldn't be a TRA without them.
Well, I'm not one to say God bless you, my sister, but God bless you, my sister. You're doing fantastic work. And finally, what's your name? Yomi? Yes. Okay, so what brings you down here today? Because I know you're part of the circle.
Yeah, I came to see Mr. Gross. He's been instrumental in my business development as well as my personal development. So, yeah, that's why I'm down here.
This is quite interesting. And then at the front there, we got Dotton with them pretty Clarks on. You think I say we never see them shoes that you're wearing there? Dotton with his pretty Clarks on. Yeah, he's more yardy than Nigerian. You know that, innit? You know that. He's more young. He's a Nigerian Jamaican. When you hear them man talk about Bally High nightclub and all them kind of, them man's Jamaican. I'm telling you straight. Dalton, big up to the work you're doing, sir. There's a man I know from over Peckham sides and was doing fantastic work in the community. That's where we know the big man from. So we give big round of applause to my man Dalton for holding down the front line. Every time. Yeah, brother. Jealousy salutes the work you do, brother. You're doing fantastic work, man. Let people know. So, listen, I got to be out of here very quickly, but really, like the gentleman Hamza, Jermaine, who's doing his thing, because he's got his organic fertilizer business going on. Is that right? Wow, okay, you see that. So what's happening down here in the urban community of South London is that you have a set of black people that have looked at all the different options over the years and have reached this conclusion that, okay, well, for us now, we got to step into another realm of our existence. So when you see man doing certain things on the renewable energy stuff and people standing for council, Michael Gross standing for council, you know much. I told a couple man, and man, look at me, their head turned sideways. It's like they got something in their ears, and they're like Michael Gross. I'm like, yeah, Michael Gross is going for council. I'm like, yeah, Michael Gross. Who's he running with? I'm like, yeah, he's running as a Green. And they're like, Bombo Wall. Yo, me dip on this rude boy. It's like, it's the maddest thing, Mikey. What you've done is crazy. So I'll give you the final word in terms of some of the stuff that you do. Just give us a quick overview for those people who don't know Michael Gross. Like I said, the name goes out and people turn their head like, Michael Gross? Go ahead. Final word to you, and then I've got to go and do a little workshop.
Listen, my main aim in life is fighting poverty. I always tell people you could use words like gang culture and all these other things, but for me, if you could deal with poverty, you deal with everything else. So that's what I'm all about. I'm here to help families find employment or find their own aspiration or create opportunity, because these lead on to other things in life. And it then reflects down to the family members. So I want to help the mothers, single fathers. I want to help anybody really that's going to have aspirational thoughts, and if they want to put that into application and apply themselves, which is my favourite word now, then of course we're here to help them apply them skills that they got to develop with us. So working in the Green Man with Kevin and all the other partners, Dutton and everybody else, the team around us.
So you work in the Green Man?
We run the Green Man. We don't work with the Green Man because everyone keeps thinking we're Lambeth sponsored, and we're not. This is a private organisation that does its own funding, and we did this project. We supplied this service to the community because it was needed. It's a service that Lambeth couldn't manage no more, which is I'm not going to put it on them. They couldn't manage it no more, and they asked us to put a bid in. We did with everybody else, and we won the bid, which is 44 years ago. So that now, being involved on that level, delivering that service to this area has been really instrumental into what my new thinking has been, hence me running for the council, which, again, I even tipped my own head about that. I'm like, really?
I tell you what, here's the strangest thing, right? And I'm going to leave it on this one here, yeah? Obviously, there's going to be a press conference to announce this thing properly. We're looking at Monday. Yeah? Right. So
we know where it's going to be held, yeah?
We know it's going to be, don't worry, it's going to be held. It's going to be held somewhere around here, you know what I'm saying? Right?
I love it, the Green Man.
We could very well do that. You know, but the funny...
Green Man for the Green Party.
Well, the Green Man for the Green votes, it kind of makes sense, doesn't it, really? Yeah. It's a bit of a no-brainer,
The grass is green at the grassroots. That's our logo. The grass is green. The grass has got to be green at the grassroots now, you know what I mean? Because at the moment, our grassroots is dry.
Yeah.
It's dry. Have you seen that?
But big man, do you realise that you must be the green grocer in that case, right?
I am. I've got the green grocer message. The green grocer message is, I've got it somewhere. I've designed a poem because I'm a poet, and I've wanted to take poetry to a new level.
All right, in that case, give us a quick poem, and then we will vacate the space.
All right, let me just get it.
All right, you get your poem, and I'm just going to conclude with this one. All right. On the film that I made, Why Don't Black People Vote? Many people have seen that movie, and it looks at the political disengagement within the community of Brixton. And one of the things that comes out of the film is that the people are saying that they wouldn't go out and vote. Watch him now. The people wouldn't go out and vote because they couldn't find a candidate for them to vote for. They couldn't find that person that actually represented what they was about. And so Tutus, in the film, as the film concludes, there's me and my son sitting outside of the old Take Two, and we're chopping it up, and we're talking about where would this candidate for Brixton, where would this person come from? This is what it says in the film, right, at the end of the film. And I said in the film, some people are saying that the candidate will come out of the church. Some people, where's that brother Hamza? Where is him? Yeah. Some people said that the candidate will come out of the mosque. And I said, you know what? They're all wrong. The candidate that's going to represent Brixton to its fullest will come from the street. That's what I said. And nobody would stand. All the man them in the film, I took them afterwards, none of them would stand. And so I'm there as a filmmaker, because I want to make my next film, innit? Which is the part 2, Why Don't Black People Vote. But because nobody would stand, I said, you know what? I got to stand. I'm not a politician. So I stepped into that space, and I was getting criticised, and some people was like, I had to go to different places, different communities, have the conversation. Boy, the Green Party, a white man party, what y'all doing? Blah, 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 blah. And I just kept on and kept on and kept on, because I knew that person that was going to represent was going to step up to the plate at some point. They was going to represent. And that man has represented, and he stepped up. I waited for you for many years, my brother.
Thank you, man.
I waited for you for many years. I'm telling you straight. Nah, brother. If I can return the compliment, because you had me on the road doing stuff many years ago, because I followed your example. Yeah. So if I can return the compliment, it's all good.
This man didn't get emotional with me when I showed him the video. I showed him a film clip of my of a movie that's coming out based around my life, right? And then he got really emotional, and I was like, wow, this is really emotional as well, because it's not every day you see that type of impact. And then he come back next day, he goes, I want to run something by you, brother. And I just kind of looked at him and I thought, I wonder if he's going to mention the council. And he mentioned the council. And the thing is, I'm a man who believes in putting it out there before it happens, because I think that's a show of strength, right? And I said last year, 3 things are going to happen to me this year. I'm going to get my new flat, I'm going to have my project's going to come off the ground, and I might run for council. That was what I said last year, and everybody looked at me like, yeah, right. Now I'm here running for council, and even though it was all happening, I still didn't believe it was going to go through. That makes sense. So then he sent me the photograph at the general meeting that I'm one of the candidates, and I saw that list with my name on it. I just thought that's the most ridiculous election thing I've ever seen in my life. Because that's not a name that's not meant to be there. That's right. But that goes back to this thing that I have been following for the last 5 years, right? There's two systems that I've been following. It's called ABC, if you know what that means. That means assets, community assets, build development, yeah, ABCD. Asset-based community development is one, ABCD.
Say that again, ABCD?
ABCD, which is asset-based community development.
Ooh, that sounds.
That's what I've been on.
It's got me feeling all tingly.
Ooh, I like that. This is about bringing back the community
And
around
using the assets that's in there for the community to develop. So you use that asset, that's what I've been doing. And then there was a thing I did 7 years ago, a course called The Theory of Change. Okay. And once I did The Theory of Change, that gave me a new voice, and that was it.
It's all about the language, baby.
It's better, well, you know, it is a better language.
You know what, Mikey, I've got 1 hour on the clock. I've got to be over over at the Scrubs to do a little workshop with some of them little wannabes. I'm gonna give you the final say, sir. So bless the mic for the people.
The Green Grocer's message, right? It's very simple. It goes like this: it works and acts for all, hears and resolves for all, by engaging and talking with all, listening and empowering all, the will of all by doing our all for one and one for all, to live and work with all. Voting for Green is a vote for all.
Round of applause, I think. Press conference
Simple, really.
Coming up.
I wrote that as a poem, and now I'm going to learn that poem, and that's going to be the rally cry.
Yeah.
Because it's all about all.
It's on. It's on. It's on. It's on. It's on. It's on. So, community's on. Yeah.
Community's on.
The community's on.
Thank you, my man.
My brother.
Thank you.
I'll talk to you later on today, and we can hook up and we can get our little chopped up. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. This has been Genesis Radio. This has been brother Rashid Nix, and big shout out to my man Riggs that I ain't seen for a hot minute. Back up inside the studio, looking like he's been down the gym. He looks like one of them superheroes from Black Panther. Like he crush your head with his hand, man. Got the big chops. The chops look like it weigh more than my whole bank account, my fridge, everything line up. But yes. So this has been a Genesis Radio People's Talk Show. We give salutes to all those people that have been locked on. We give big salutes to all those people that interacted, that sent in the text. We give big salutes to all those people that was bold enough to even phone in and raise the issues. And we give huge salutes to the silent listeners who are out there doing the work, keeping it nice and cool. And for the young people out there, yo, just keep your head straight. Don't get caught up in none of this okie doke. Remember the rule of expectations. They speak your dysfunction into existence, and then you end up playing the role. Go to school, get your education, get your program in place, and honor your parents, even though they might not directly, you don't know. Rashid Nix, I'm out here. Up after me is Mr. Riggs. This has been Genesis Radio People's Talk Show. Peace out. Salam alaikum.
Thank you for your visit.
If you use your phone while you're driving and it's not